All right, welcome back, True Seeker. Want to talk about a subject we've covered before, and I want to bring it up because a lot of people are posting videos about the house I've moved to, and again, all of the videos are backed by jealousy and ignorance. And I just want to set the record straight and remind people how I got in the position to quit my day job and take a risk and start my own business. And in that period of time, I found more free time to do research, which led me to Gematria, which led me to sharing this knowledge with the world as a hobby, as I did for the first 5 years of the study. And again, how did I get to the position where I could quit my day job and start my own business? And it's no secret how it was done. It was done with hard work, saving, and discipline. And something my parents taught me at a young age was the value of money, how hard you had to work to earn it, and why you should save it and not blow it on frivolous things. And those were lessons that paid off for me. From the time I got out of college until the time I bought my first house, and shortly after that is when I also quit my job. Again, it was a nonstop grind. I always worked hard. I always worked overtime. I always worked multiple jobs. I always worked long hours. Every job I ever had, I went the extra mile. And when I was in teaching, it didn't pay anything else, but there I was more motivated to help out the students rather than my own self. But again, the only tricks I know to getting ahead in this world are working hard, saving, and then making smart decisions with your money. And of course, to get ahead, you also sometimes have to get lucky, and I definitely got lucky along the way. I got out of college in 2005. I'll never forget the day I had my last exam. It was a very easy date to remember. It was May 5th, 05, all fives. And when I got out of school, I went into real estate. I met a friend in college who was in real estate, and the real estate market was booming then. And he showed me that it was a good way to get ahead financially. So I got a job in real estate. I got paid more than I deserved, and I saved that money. I didn't blow it, you know. My buddy, he blew his money. He blew his money on women, alcohol, weed, and expensive cars. And that wasn't me. My thing was saving money so that someday I could have my own business, so that I could have my own better future. And again, I did save my money, and it allowed me to pay for a master's education out of my own pocket. It allowed me to put a down payment down on a house. And by the way, that's the thing. I had my money by 2007. I had a good chunk of change by 2007 from working hard in the career that I had chosen at the time. And the housing market was way up then. I could have bought a house then, but I knew it would come down. The housing market was through the roof, and I thought, I'll be patient, and I will wait to buy my house until the time is right. Because, again, markets go up and down. That's what they do. And I was real patient. And what made it easy for me to be patient, because I did not buy my house until the very end of 2011. So I waited a little more than 4 years to buy my house. And what made it easy to wait was I had found a really good rental spot in downtown Seattle that was very inexpensive compared to the... Again, I got so lucky, you guys, when I found my apartment in Seattle. It was a nice apartment. It was older. It was clean. It even came with a parking spot, which like nobody has in Seattle. And what blew me away is I paid $725 a month rent. All the apartments in the same neighborhood that weren't even as nice, that didn't have a parking spot, the rents were $1,200 to $1,500. And again, that's called getting lucky. And my landlord never raised the rent on me. You know, he also turned out to be a really cool landlord. I had a lot of great conversations with him. But it allowed me to rent at an inexpensive price. So again, that's also part of being smart with your money. Look for the best deals. Shop around. Buy things when they're on sale. But I found an inexpensive apartment to rent. And when the market dropped way down at the end of 2011, I thought, I don't know if it's ever going to get better than this. And I bought a house for $200,000. Had I bought that house 3 years earlier, I would have paid $350,000 for that house. So by waiting 3 years, I saved $150,000. And in the time that I was renting for those 3 years, I mean, do the math. $725 times 12 is about $9,000. So I spent about $27,000 in rent those 3 years, and I ended up saving $150,000 on the purchase price of the home had I bought it, 3 years earlier. So again, that like being smart, like being savvy, paying attention to markets, research something before you make the purchase. Is now a good time to purchase? Should I wait? I had a little real estate know-how since I worked in the industry, but anyhow, I bought the house for $200,000. Now, where I got real lucky is I could have never imagined how fast the home would appreciate. I got the home at the end of 2011. When I sold the house in 2017, in the spring of 2017, I got almost $500,000 for the house, and I did put some TLC into it, some hard work, some elbow grease, and in the time I had it, I probably invested about, $30,000 of my own money into fixing it up. So you could say I put about $230,000 and a lot of labor into the house to make it nicer, but I ended up selling it for nearly $500,000. So I got more than double what I paid for it. That's lucky because that is a huge appreciation in a small period of time. And then when we ended up moving, we moved to Yakima, which is a lot cheaper housing market than the Seattle area where we lived. We bought a new home, new construction for $300,000. So I had already paid off a huge chunk of my home because it was inexpensive, because I put a big down payment on the house that was nearly half the value at the time. And because I'd been making extra payments towards principal, I didn't have a lot left to pay off on my house. So when I sold it for nearly $500,000, I was able to easily pay off that house, then buy my new house with cash. So there's no mortgage, there's no interest, there's no monthly payment. And then that house was $300,000. When I recently just sold it, its market value was $500,000 because again, the market went way up. And I didn't quite get $500,000 for it because when we went to sell, we weren't planning on selling. I didn't anticipate leaving Yakima. If you guys weren't following the story, when I went out to New York City, I had no idea I'd be rushing home to move, but it's the way things worked out with Sweet Lady's job. They gave her a little bit better financial incentive to move out here to Prosser, Washington to work, and we decided to do that. Got to keep your Sweet Lady happy. But I ended up selling the home at nearly $500,000. So I still made, from the purchase price of the house to what I sold the house for, and I also got a really good deal on selling the house because my realtor who helped me sell the house also was the realtor for this house I bought. So I gave him 2 transactions, and then because he dropped the ball in a major way with getting my house listed, it took him 3 extra weeks than it said it would take him, and that's because he ended up having to deal with something in his own life. Again, I got on top of him and I said, listen, man, you did not get the house listed when I said, because we knew things weren't going good for the market. And I think because of those 3 extra weeks, you got the home listed like right when all the headlines came that the market was going down, and I ended up selling for less. So what I said to him is I said, listen, you got a good deal on the house I just bought, and you kind of lost me a lot of value here. And the thing was, somebody else I knew who was getting a house, I got him as their realtor for him as well, so I got him a 3rd deal. He ended up taking a 1% commission on my house. So this is the other thing I'm saying about, getting financially ahead. You have to be good in this world at negotiating and not getting taken advantage of. And if you feel that somebody screwed you over, you got to hold that person accountable. And this guy took a 1% commission on the sale of my house, so he only made about $5,000. And that means I didn't lose as much on the closing costs. So even though I didn't get as much for the house as I think I would have got it had it been listed 3 weeks earlier, I probably still would have done better overall because I saved so much money on his commission, which in real estate is normally between 5 and 6%. I got a lot of it back, and he didn't complain too much because I essentially got him 3 real estate transactions. And anyhow, because again, you got trolls out there like, part of the reason I'm addressing this is you have so many people attacking me right now saying, oh, Zach's doing it. Again, you guys, All of the things that you're witnessing in my life are from all of the hard work and smart moves that I made years ago that continue to pay off. Again, the only people who really get ahead in this world financially, unless you win the lottery or get drafted in the NBA or you become the latest Justin Bieber YouTube singing sensation, are people who make smart financial investments. So again, hard work, saving, not blowing your money. This is how you get ahead. And think about this. I used to have a buddy who I used to always help out. He always needed a loan. He always had some problem. His car wasn't running. He needed $1,000 to get his car repaired, and he'd always come to me. And, finally I stopped giving him money. And you know what? He didn't want to be my friend anymore. Sometimes you got to recognize they're getting used and abused by people. But I'd say to him, I was like, dude, you got to stop blowing money. And he'd be like, what? It's only $20. And I'd say, man, you're blowing $20 every day. You're blowing $20 every day. I said, you just went to Taco Bell and ordered the whole menu and threw half of it in the trash. Why? I said, you just borrowed money from me a week ago. Now you're spending the money and just like throwing Taco Bell in the trash? Why are you even spending your money on Taco Bell anyway? But again, people think like that. It's only $20. Again, do the math on blowing $20 a day. If you blow $20 a day, what is that? Over the course of a month, you've blown $600. Over the course of a year, you've blown $7,200. In 2 years' time, thank you, Marcus, I appreciate that. If you blow $20 a day, as so many Americans do, whether it's coffee, cigarettes, weed, alcohol, God knows what, just crap you didn't need, pay-per-view fight, if you blow on average $20 a day over the course of 2 years, you've blown over $14,000. Do you know what you can do with $14,000? A lot. You can start your own business. If you start your own business and it's successful, you can have financial freedom. You're no longer on the slave grind. You're now your own boss. It's motivating being your own boss. It's motivating when you have your own successful business and you're not having to take orders from somebody else and you're not having to work on somebody else's time. If you save $20 a day for 2 years, you will have $14,000 extra dollars. That's a lot of money. When I started my medical marijuana delivery service, that was about how much money I needed to build the grow at the time. It would probably cost more now because things have become a lot more expensive. I built that medical grow in 2012, and that was about the cost. It was right around $15,000 for all the materials. We built a really nice grow. We built it ourselves. My buddy was an electrician, and again, the total cost was about that much. Why did I have the extra money to do that? Because I didn't live a life like my buddy, blowing money on fast food every day, alcohol, all my money on weed. You guys, over the years, how many times have you seen somebody call into my live stream and they're saying like they're trying to improve their financial position and talking about how they don't have that much they'd like to support more, and at the same time they're like smoking a blunt. A blunt's expensive. A blunt is not cheap. To roll that much weed, you just spend a lot of money on weed, so you can't be talking about you don't have extra money. You just decided to spend all your extra money on weed. And for the person out there who's like, well, Zach, you said you smoked weed for a long time. Listen, I'm going to say something, and this isn't the road to financial independence, but it is a true part of my life story. Again, when I was in college, my same buddy who got me into real estate, he also showed me the benefits of selling weed. And this is back before weed was legal. And, I'd never really thought about it before, but you can get a bag of weed for $2,000 and you can sell an ounce of weed for $350 and there's 16 ounces in a bag. I did the math on that. I was like, wow, so you can make over $3,000 by selling a pound of weed. And when you live on a college campus, it's not that hard to move a pound of weed. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and participate in illegal activities because that can end up with jail time and all kinds of consequences. But honestly, to be perfectly sincere, because I liked smoking weed and I didn't like blowing my money, and because I had a bunch of friends that smoked weed, I realized it might not be a bad idea to be the weed dealer. So that was also something I did along the way to help build up my cash flow to put myself further ahead. I'm just being perfectly honest, you guys. The point is smart business practices. Smart business practices. Rather than wasting all your money on weed, if you can turn it into a way to enjoy your recreational habit and get further ahead financially and not end up in jail, again, you got to use your mind in this world. So, and again, there's other ways to become financially free without selling weed. And plus, now that weed's legal almost everywhere and you can't sell an ounce for $350, that option's probably not even there. In Washington State, it'd be hard to move an ounce for even $100. You'd probably be losing money on your pound of weed. So again, those are things of the past. But again, I've always just thought about things like, is it worth spending my money on that? Do I want to spend all my money on weed? Man, going out to the bar with my friends is expensive as hell. I don't think I'm going to go out every single night like they do, but I'll go out on Friday or Saturday. And then even then, I was like, man, if I would have saved that money last night, I'd be even further ahead. I mean, my mind's always worked that way because I've always been building towards a plan. So, yeah, somebody wrote in the chat, drug dealer with the cash bag. It's true, and that's why your government has always controlled the drugs in this country. It's not an accident that they declare a drug war and then all of a sudden the country's full of drugs, just like it's not an accident that they go kill all the people in Afghanistan and bring back the poppy production, and next thing you know, the world's flooded with opioids. Drugs have always been the way to be financially successful. It's why you learn about like how the Kennedy family got popular by bootlegging when in the time of Prohibition. So again, if you are clever and responsible and can take risks and get ahead that way, I mean, it's on you. Sometimes the way to get ahead is also taking risks. And when I quit my day job and started a business, it was taking a big risk. It was taking a big risk. A lot of people did not agree with it. But again, the business I started was very successful, but it was also destroyed on the date November 15, 2014. And luckily, the one thing I still had in my life was my house, which was an appreciating asset, which is a reminder to not have all your eggs in one basket. I had invested a lot into my business, which was going well, but it all got destroyed and stolen and lost overnight. Thankfully, I'd made another investment in my life, which was my house, and that kept me from going all the way in a hole. So again, the lesson is relatively simple. Be smart with your money. Do not be wasteful. Do the math on if I save this much each month, how, like again, you want to start a coffee, one of those little coffee huts on the corner. Look into how much that coffee hut costs. Write it down somewhere. I need $50,000 to start the coffee hut. I don't even think it costs that much. It might be more like $30,000. But whatever the price is in your neighborhood, it depends on where you are. In New York City, it's going to cost more than Prosser, Washington. If that's a business you want to start, go look into how much that costs and then say, okay, I got to save this much money. Another thing is you can go out and get a loan, but loans are expensive right now because of interest rates. So you got to figure out what's financially feasible. But again, think about a business you would like to have. And some businesses are a lot cheaper to start than others. My ex, her roommate at the time, her roommate had a day job. She was actually a firefighter. She was her roommate was she was a lesbian and she was like a super dude. Even though she was a lady, she was a firefighter. But she got tired of doing the firefighting thing and she became a dog walker. And man, she was making buku cash. She had my eyes popping. I was like, wow, you're making that much money walking dogs? Again, you guys, there's so many different options out there. But again, to become a dog walker, if you're a dog whisperer and you know how to work with animals, you can do that. Be your own boss. If your dream is to have a coffee shop on the corner, which is a pretty successful business if you launch it, find out how much you need to save and then do the math. Say, okay, I want that goal in 3 years. How much money do I need to save each month so that in 3 years I can afford that coffee shop? Maybe you realize in 3 years you can't have that full sum, but what's the most you can save each month to get as close to the goal as possible? You could go to the bank and you could ultimately get a loan. You could get a loan and get the remainder amount. I'd recommend rather not doing it that way because then I hate to pay banks interest and fees. It's kind of one of my rules. I try to never pay banks interest and fees. But again, at the same time, if you really want to achieve the goal, and you think the business is going to be successful and you can pay off the loan quickly, it is an option that's out there, and it can help you get to the goal faster. But yeah, to qualify for loans, you have to have money saved. You have to show that you have an earning history. And, I know that there's people in this community who just hate the whole system, so they don't want to participate at all. They don't want to work at all. They don't want to pay taxes at all. I totally get that. And I go through those battles too. But at the same time, I know that those same people are people who are living in their house with their parents, or somebody else is taking care of them who is part of the system. So even though you feel like you're not the system, realize you're living in somebody's house who is in the system. And sadly, the reality is we do live in this system. It is a slave system. It is built on money. You are going to improve your position in this system, you're going to have to play the game. You're going to have to play the game. For the guy who says, how can I flip $300? Again, if you only have $3 and you're really trying to improve your position, obviously you cannot buy a lot with that. You have to look at what your skill set is as a person and say, what business, what business or job could I create right now that I can greatly improve my position? If you have building skills, if you're a handyman, for $300, you can go down to your hardware store and you can get all the tools you need to pretty much go in and fix up anyone's property. But do you have those skills? If you don't have those skills, you can develop those skills. You're a young person. Everybody needs workers right now. Again, you could go work on a job site. You can start working on that job site. They need able-bodied people. And you know what? Maybe work for a year. Build up your skill set. Learn the tricks of the trade. It's like an education, right? But instead of paying for it, you're getting paid whatever the wage is. I mean, if you're in Seattle in construction, man, you're getting paid a lot. Seattle construction workers are in a union. They make at least $40 an hour. You might work in a right-to-work state that doesn't have unions. Maybe you're only making minimum wage. But you know what? Whether you're making $40 an hour or minimum wage, you're still developing a skill. And once your skill's good enough, again, you guys, we're in this internet age, right? There's all these websites now. If you have handy skills, there's a website you can go on. TaskRabbit. I think it's taskrabbit.com. What that site's about is for anyone with skills. You could be the dog walker, you could be a construction worker, you could be an electrician, you could be a plumber. If you have any of these skills, you go on there and you say what your skills are, and it helps you find people who are looking for someone with those skills to do a job. And again, my friend King Henry, he moved down to Las Vegas, right? He was living up here in Yakima, small town. Because of the pandemic, with everything shut down, he lost his construction job. His wife lost her job. And they had friends and family down in the Vegas area who said, hey, you can come down here. You can stay with us for a little bit. You can get yourself reestablished down here. That's what they did. They went down there with their skills. TaskRabbit, they found jobs right away. Henry's got the construction skills. He's doing fix-up jobs. He's finding people left and right who are paying him $40+ an hour to do little simple improvements. His wife said, well, what can I do? She does have a skill set, but what she noticed on the TaskRabbit website was that a lot of people just needed people to clean their property. Cleaning. If you're willing to clean, there's a business you can have overnight. And instantly she was making $30 an hour cleaning people's houses. And you know what? One of the jobs she got living in Vegas, she got a TaskRabbit job to Devontae Adams' house, the receiver. And she gets to now clean his house, and it's kind of a cool experience to her, just to be around an NFL receiver and, be in this big fancy mansion. And, he's nice to her. He gives her some extra tips and whatnot. So, and again, I mean, if you're willing to work, there's so many opportunities in this world. And for all the people who look down on I don't want to clean people's houses, maybe it's not for you, but you know what? Cleaning is not that bad of a thing. Cleaning is not that bad of a thing, especially in this day and age. Put in some earbuds, you got your favorite music going, just buy some cleaners that are non-toxic so you're not breathing in stuff that kills you. And, there's worse things you could do. My mom, she's cleaned houses since she was a young person. And she figured out somewhere along the way that if you got wealthier clients, they paid better, and it was a lot more worth the time. Looking at the chat, I see Shark. Shark, the MVP of the New York Gathering, said, all is energy, including money and thoughts. Focus your thoughts on abundance instead of lack of abundance will manifest its universal law. Again, you manifest your reality. It's 1,000,000% true. And you focus on negative, negative will come to you. You focus on positive, more positive things are going to happen. And it doesn't always happen overnight, but as long as you keep your mind in the right direction, things will work in your favor. And, I'm thinking back to when I started up the medical marijuana delivery service. That I didn't really have a lot of competition because, and again, you guys, capitalizing on the moment. In 2012, Washington and Colorado became the first states to legalize recreational marijuana. So there was this wild west of opportunities, and I jumped on it right away. I just got out of my teaching position. I was sick of the school system, which is an indoctrination system, and I'd always had a little love for the cannabis plant. And I do remember, though, when I started the business, to get those first customers. Again, if you do a good job at your work, word of mouth is real. What I did at first was I just made the price ultra low for everything, and I even offered like free samples, and I got those initial customers, and they were happy, and they told a friend, and they told a friend, and then like little niche markets can happen. A funny thing that happened with my delivery service, I found out that there were a lot of, it's just interesting how you learn things about the world. I found out that there were a lot of Islamic people who smoke weed on the DL because it's real taboo in their culture, and they don't want anybody to know that they smoke weed. So what happened was I ended up getting this huge clientele of Islamic men who smoked weed, who kind of the only other people knew was the other Islamic weed smokers, and they probably picked out because they're like, hey, his eyes look like he might have just taken a rip over there. But anyhow, you wouldn't believe how many of my customers, once my business started, were Islamic men who didn't want anybody to know that they smoked weed. And again, another funny thing, this is a true story, but I also had a lot of gay customers. And I forget what like the gay dating website was, but I was actually like a topic on that board. It was like, my thing was Chief Seattle was the name of my business. There was a thing for like people who get their weed from Chief Seattle on the gay hookup board. So no joke, I had a lot of Islamic closet smokers, and I had a lot of gay men, and because that's where the word of mouth first spread. But I also had a lot of other customers too. But I mean, that's like really like when I first started the business, those were my main customers, and I thought, how funny is this? Like I would have never predicted it would go this way to start. But and it was fun, you guys. I mean, it was fun being my own boss. It was a lot of hard work, though, you guys. I did not sleep a lot back then. I was producing the plant, which is a lot of work if you've never grown it. When it's finished growing, I mean, the cutting it down and trimming it is a lot of hard work. We were producing the plant. We were, keeping relations with customers, deliveries. I mean, it was hard work. So all this stuff was hard. But it was fun, too, because, you see your customer, and your customer wants to share the product with you, and they say you should, you know what? I hate when I see these commercials about how driving high is the same as driving drunk. To me, that's a load of BS. I know some people cannot drive when they're high, but to me, I've never had a problem driving high. It just makes me drive slower. I feel like going slower. Because when you're high, it's like you're more aware when the 8-ton truck comes flying by, you're like, oh my God, that could just turn me into a flat little piece of dust. I think I'm going to drive a little bit slower. You're like more aware of that. But I remember my buddy in high school, we were driving, back in the day when we smoked out of an apple, we were driving home from the park, and he's like, Zach, I can't feel my feet. I was like, well, dude, just stop and pull over. And then I had to drive us home, I mean, if that's you, then you just know, don't drive high. But again, I'm not trying to give you guys all kinds of bad tips, but I had a delivery service, and we were driving high all the time, never had a single problem, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, you guys, the whole secret is not a secret. This life is all about hard work It's all about discipline. It's all about being smart with your money. And my parents taught me all these lessons as a child. Because we were not wealthy at all, I learned the value of money. And from a young age, again, I mean, my mom, she couldn't afford daycare in the summer, so she took me with her to clean houses. And then my mom, she got me excited about saving as a child, because at the end of summer, she would give me $100, which was like, meaning I made probably like 10 cents an hour. But she showed me that I had a bank account and there was $100 saved in it. And then the next summer there was $200 saved in it. And you don't really earn any interest. In the 80s, it was probably like around 1990 back when we started this. But, again, it was just like, she did a good job of, and my dad also emphasized it, but I mean, it was really my mom's leadership on this, but she really did instill in my mind the importance of working hard and saving your money to get ahead. And yeah, so for all of you who are parents too, I mean, I would teach your children the value of money. And yeah, it's just like when I wanted things when I was a kid, I had to work for them and buy them myself. The first computer we had in the house, I bought with paper route money, and it took a long time, a lot of paper route hours to have enough money for a computer. When I wanted a Nintendo 64 back when that was new, had to work a whole lot. That was the nice thing about being younger back then. There was jobs available, paper routes, people who put flyers on doors. I would get all those jobs as a child. So from a young age, I learned to work my ass off. I had jobs from a young age. From age 10 on, I had my own jobs in addition to helping my mom clean house. Shout out to Miss Holly. How do you not have a wrench? Holly's again, for people who don't know Holly, Holly is who edited my first book. Otherwise, it would have been a mess. Why? It's also not letting me. What's going on? There it is. Okay. Shout out to Holly. I always like when I see Holly in the chat. Yeah, so anyway, I mean, that's about the extent of it, you guys. But again, if you're disciplined, if you work hard, if you save your money, if you make smart investments, and if you have a little bit of luck, you can get ahead in this world. And granted, we are getting into a time period where things are getting a lot more difficult. I would have never been able to buy my first house anymore, if homes in the area, I mean, and you guys, you know what's hilarious? The home that I bought for $200,000 at the end of 2011, that house is now approaching $1 million. The last time I looked, it was $850,000. And our resident young guy wants to say something, so he's... What is it, resident young guy?
Hey man, so yeah, I have some money saving tips too. One thing that people can do, not just to make money, but to save money. Like for instance, my mom bought a computer for like $500. It was a horrible computer, so slowest computer I've ever used in my life. But you can go on eBay and you can literally buy a desktop computer for $50, and they're not bad. Like they're fast, they're decent. I got a laptop that was an i7, 16 gigs of RAM for $120, and like it's a decent machine, that's money you don't have to spend. Like you don't need to buy Apple and stuff like that. I got for people that want to know, I got a ThinkPad W530, and those are really affordable. Those are really affordable laptops. They're old workstation laptops. And another thing I do to save money is like I just go to thrift stores and I buy like older stuff, usually from the 80s. And you know what? Since I've been doing that, nothing in my house breaks. Nothing ever needs to be replaced because stuff back then was like super reliable. And the things that are breaking are the new stuff that I got. And it's like, oh, this broke. And then I replace it with something vintage, never have a problem again, And I save a bunch of money doing that. All my clothes is vintage. And like, because I get it at thrift stores and stuff. And I mean, it looks cool, but it's also cheap. I don't have to go to the store and spend like $25 on a shirt. And something else, if you want to make money, you can, maybe try and do something on the computer. Like I was looking into doing Redbubble. You design shirts and put them up and put up the designs. It's like a print on demand thing. And, it's basically, it's not really passive income because you have to work. But, you make a shirt design and that's it. It can sell an infinite amount of times and you make money off of that. And, every day you can, like at the end of the day, you just make more designs, make more shirts, and the more designs that you make, then the more likely you are to make a sale. Redbubble gets like 27 million people every month buying shirts, so you're pretty likely to get your shirt bought. That's something I wanted to do. And just saving money. I don't spend my money on crap. I save my money. I still have my money from when I was like probably a kid. All the cash that I have now is money that I've never spent.
Well, good for you. Yeah, money saved is money earned. Those are great tips. Yeah, always try and find the best value. When I'm at the grocery store, I always try to buy what's on sale. So.
Yep. Yeah, and like I mean, you probably don't have a Publix over there, but here we have Publix. We don't have Kroger. And yeah, you like anything that's on sale, you look at it, and usually like there's half off or whatever, and like some stuff you just wait to get, and that you can save a lot of money that way too. And fast food recently. Oh my God, I walked into a Jimmy John's. It was $17 for a Subway, like a
sandwich. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Exactly. It's like, I mean, who's buying this? How are these chains? I mean, again, you guys, that's what I think too. I think about like, how are these chains even successful? And I just realized it's because you have this conditioned populace that's just totally dumb with their money, who are going and spending $17 on sandwiches. It's just like, this restaurant would never exist if everybody was like me, because there's no way I'm spending $17 on a sandwich.
I know. I like we walked in because we didn't have any food. We usually don't eat at fast food, but like we went to a couple fast food places because nothing was open at the time, and they were all like ridiculously expensive. It's like, okay, well, I don't eat McDonald's, but McDonald's burgers, they don't even have the dollar menu anymore if you don't know. But you can make a burger for like, maybe like $10 or something, but it's not one burger. You can make like 4 burgers, and they're healthy. You can get organic meat, or you don't even have to get beef. You can get lamb, which is usually a better option. You have, it's a little bit more lean. It has more protein. You can get lamb, and you can have a burger that doesn't have who knows what kinds of chemicals in it. You made it yourself. You can add whatever you want. You can add lettuce. Personally, I don't like that, but you can add lettuce. You can add tomato. You can add, like a big juicy tomato that's on sale at the store, an organic tomato. Where you could even grow the stuff yourself. That's another thing to do is save money. Have your own little garden, grow your own tomatoes, grow some vegetables,
right.
Have some chickens. That's an awesome investment. Just having like free range, so that way they eat bugs. That's the healthiest kind of egg you can have. You don't have to spend all this money on eggs and food,
Yeah, great advice from our young guy. You're only 18 years old too, right?
Yeah, I remember when I was young, people would always complain about money, and like they'd go to Starbucks and spend all this money on food, and like they'd buy all this crap that they don't need. It's like, well, you don't really need that, so why don't you just save that money, and then you won't have such a problem with saving money,
Right.
I mean, that's usually what happens. I mean, the reason why I'm broke right now is because my mom stole $40,000 from me. Otherwise, our family would be fine. But I mean, right now we're trying to make changes and stuff. But that's why we were in a bad situation 15 years ago. My dad started his own business. Now we have a 6-figure income, and he started the business with $200. Started finding textbooks, selling them online, and found out that was like a whole racket, and we made a ton of money. And that's a great business, so there's and you know what? He doesn't have to answer to anybody. He's his own boss. He has his own office. He works for himself. Doesn't have to worry about anybody. And that's it. You have your own business. You're your own boss. Even if you don't make as much money, you can, if you're good with your money, then you don't need to make a ton of money. And I mean, it is kind of hard to save money now. Like, I went to the store, and it was $18 for one loaf of bread and 2 packs of cheese.
Yeah.
I was furious. Plus tax, of course. And that's just bread and cheese. So it's probably better if people start, being self-reliant, making their own food, stuff like that, because we don't even know how expensive it's going to get. But, even now, you can still save money. You don't need to buy a $1,000 Apple computer. You can buy something for $100, and it's probably going to have better specs in the end of the day. You can put Linux on it, which is free. And you know what? That's another thing. are you spending money on like programs and stuff like that? You can just get a used laptop or, a laptop that you have around the house. Oh, this laptop's slow. If you put Linux on it, it'll run way faster. Even like an old computer. And Linux has like an app store basically, and you have like all kinds of free programs. $50 on Microsoft Office, you can just get LibreOffice. It's free. It's on, and you know what? You can use that on Windows 10 and anything. It has PowerPoint, all that stuff, equivalents. It's even compatible with it. You can use that. It has free video editors, has free text, like a version of Photoshop called GIMP, which is free and open source. A bunch of free and open source software. It even has a money manager that I use that's just called Money. It's basically just like a budgeting program. But, you can get that program and you can look at your expenses. You can, put your income in there, see, okay, how much am I making every month? Then you see, okay, how much am I spending at the store? So something else that you can do, get a journal. This is what I did. Get a journal, go to a bunch of different stores, write down the price of basic stuff, bread, cheese, vegetables, meat, all that stuff. Write it down. How much is it per pound? How much is it for one pack of it? Write it down and see which store is the cheapest. You can go to all the different stores. You can go to the farmer's market, whatever. You can see how much people are selling their stuff for. And, you can save some money doing that, just going to different stores. You don't have to go to like Whole Foods or whatever and pay like double the price of what stuff is worth. You can just shop around and you'll get a good deal, even now.
Indeed. Yeah, great advice from our resident youngster. Again, money saved is money earned. And making your own meals, you'll save a whole lot of money. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, take care.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, because, you guys, it's crazy just going out to eat now, the price of food. You know what I learned in New York? New York City is a good place to go out to eat if you're going to go out to eat, man. The one thing that's not expensive in New York is eating out. It's funny. It's cheaper to eat out in New York City than it is out here in Yakima, Washington, or Prosser, Washington. But, yeah, it's just like a sweet lady and I, we probably go out to eat once a month, just for the experience. Sometimes it's nice to have a little date night and eat something that's different and not have to worry about dishes or cooking. But again, her and I, we don't really drink anything. We're disappointing to the waiter because we're not ordering drinks. If you've never been a waiter, you like when your customers order drinks because it gets the bill up and bigger tips. I always give a good tip though because I used to be a server myself. Never be a cheapskate on the server, especially if you live in a right-to-work state. Up here in Washington State, they at least get a good wage, but like you're down in Arizona, they're not getting paid anything. They're living on their tips. But if her and I get, 2 plates and an appetizer after tax and a tip, it's going to be at least $50, and it's not that much food. We could have made a comparable meal at home, and it probably would have cost between $10 and $15. So, again, you're saving $40 to $35 on that meal. It's okay to spend an extra $40 to $35 a month to have one date night and just like a fun night. That's okay. It's part of living. And for you, it might be, it's to do it once a week, but just realize, you are making that extra expense. It's just that so many Americans, they do it every day. And it's like, man, look at that over the course of the month. If you spent, for the two of you, if instead of eating at home each night, you went out and ate out and spent $30 extra to eat out than eat at home. And really it's more than that, but let's just say it was 30. Over the course of a month, you spent an extra $900 on food. Over the course of a year, that's $10,800. Thanks, Shark. Shark, seriously, man, just like you and Sarah and the Darias and all the other people who donate all the time, you guys really don't have to donate anymore. I appreciate you guys so much, but it's just like, where's the other people that never chip in anything? But thank you, Shark. He said, just putting a little energy in the Gematria universe. What you put out always comes back. And again, Shark saved our community a ton of money. He introduced us to the Truth Seeker discount in the subway system, which I'll never forget. So, personally, I don't think stealing from the state is stealing at all. I feel like it's justice. But anyway. Yeah, you guys, it's amazing how many people just eat out every day. I'd say it's very common for Americans to eat out almost every day of the week, and that is a lot of extra money spent And you just think about it, it just keeps those people stuck in the slave grind because they have no extra income. It's like my buddy who always needed money, who ate out fast food every day, who spent all of his money on food, liquor, and weed, and was always like, man, I don't know how you save, I don't know how you always, it's like, dude, the reason I have money is because I'm not blowing all my money on liquor, weed, and eating out of fast food every day. But here, I'll loan you some more money one more time, even though I know I'm not going to get paid back again. And, yeah, again, discipline, you guys, discipline. And I know people like the feeling, right? So you think about how much money is being spent in our society just for the feeling, right? The feeling of being high, the feeling of having the drunk buzz. And I'm not trying to play Debbie Downer. Plus, trust me, I've had plenty of alcohol. Thank you, Haroon. I appreciate it. And you're welcome, since you said thank you. But again, there's a time and a place for everything. Everything in moderation. Like I say, had I not smoked weed, I might have never figured out gematria. Weed oftentimes put me in a creative space. It's like, so somebody sent me the Walter Veith latest video on the Superior General and the sinister history of the Jesuits. And I like Walter Veith's history lessons on the Jesuits and how bad they've been. It's funny how him and I are kind of like two totally different opposite people. But then midway into the presentation, he gets into how bad weed is and how bad hallucinogenic drugs are and how that's the Jesuits who push that on society. There's probably an element of truth to that. But again, these black and white views about certain things. Hallucinogenic drugs and weed have been here for a lot longer than the Jesuits. And again, you should not be abusing any of these things, but for all the people who have these mindsets that stuff is so bad and it's all negative, it's not true. It's not true. And again, sometimes those things put you in a little bit different frame of mind that can help you see the world from a different perspective that can actually be helpful. And that's the way it was for me. But for people who become addicts and then just blow all their money and just want the feeling all the time, that's abuse. So that's where discipline is required. Again, discipline in all things. Keep some things sacred and special. And like eating out. When Sweet Lady and I go out to eat once a month, we know it's kind of a waste of money, but we make it like a special fun thing. And, you do a little people watching and, you enjoy the experience. But you only do it so often to keep it reasonable. So if anybody else wants to call in to share how they've helped themselves financially improve their position. There might be some other people who have something to say that is an addition to what I shared. Let me open up the phone line real quick. I just added the number to the screen. It's that 509 number. If anybody else has any good financial advice, I wouldn't mind hearing those calls because maybe you know something that I don't. And again, there are plenty other ways. If you can become smart in investing in certain things, financial freedom is there, A lot of people have taken the sports knowledge and improved their financial position and broken out of their 9-to-5 job. We've almost turned sports gambling into an investment type of thing. We've helped people make money on crypto and the stock market. Again, there's so many different ways to do it. And the more knowledge you have, the more understanding, the more you study a topic, the more likely it is that you'll get ahead. I had a bunch of knowledge in real estate when I was younger, and that knowledge helped me recognize the right time to buy a home. And then I did buy it at the right time. I ended up buying at the exact rock bottom, which I thought it was, but I had no idea how fast it would skyrocket back up. And looking back, I feel like the mistake I made was selling my house. Had I not sold it, the house is worth almost $1 million now. I sold it for $500,000, which I'm not complaining because I bought it for $200,000. But in a way, it's almost like because I sold when I shouldn't have, it's almost like I gave up another $500,000. But at the time, I was doing this for free with no real revenue, and I didn't really have a way to. I guess I could have got a mortgage on the other house and kept the other house and made payments, but anyway. The line is open if you guys want to call in. It is the 509-560-4982. And, part of the reason I want to do this stream is somebody was attacking me last night and saying that, again, just putting out false information that I used the True Seeker community to buy a $500,000 house. And then they were saying in the video how, it's smarter to just live in an apartment and not even own a place. And I was thinking, okay, first of all, you're attacking me out of ignorance and things that aren't true. And second of all, now you're putting out bad advice because you guys, I'm not going to say it's wrong to rent a place. There's advantages to renting. If something breaks, the landlord's got to take care of it. When you rent a place, you usually don't have a lawn to mow and a property to upkeep. And when you're renting, you are paying money annually to your landlord. But, you know, when you look at how much property taxes cost, you're paying a lot of monthly fees to the government. And, you know, when I had an apartment in downtown Seattle, my living expense was about $9,000 a year. And when I moved to just north of Seattle, my property taxes were, you know, nearly $5,000 a year in just property taxes. It's like, that's when you realize it's like, even though technically I'm the owner, man, I still feel like the government's my landlord paying all these property taxes. But again, when you buy a home, your property can appreciate and it can change your position. So here's a homesteader calling in. He's going to have a different approach for how to get ahead in life. What's up, Mr. Homesteader in Kentucky? Thanks for calling in.
Hey, good evening, Zach. Well, it's afternoon where you're at. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, thank you.
So, yeah, talking about saving money and stuff. I mean, you know, me personally, gosh, I've done all the wrong things, you know, back in the latter, you know, younger part of my life. But I guess you got to learn as you get older. And I think, you know, as far as any younger people out there listening to this, you know, it's really good to hear that young kid that was on there, you know, figuring this stuff out. He probably had an adult kind of coaching him throughout the way as well, which is something that you know as well as I do that's pretty well absent in this society. So, you know, so I mean, as far as what I've personally figured out and have done and what we've been able to accomplish out here, I mean, shoot, we just survived the polar vortex of 22, you know, in a cabin that we built with our own hands out here this year. And, you know, so it's, you know, as we've talked, you know, offline before, off air before, you know, we're out here off grid. So, you know, it's hard to lose electricity when you don't rely upon it. And so, you know, I mean, as far as saving money, I mean, it's just, you know, it's one of the benefits to this lifestyle that we've chosen. But I've personally lived off grid for about a quarter of a century. And so, you know, once you're used to something, it's like anything else. It's just part of what you do. But, you know, people that are out there that have thought about this idea and whatnot, you know, not having a steady car payment, feeling like you have to have always the newest machine, learning how to work on your vehicle yourself and doing simple things like oil changes and knowing how to learn about different aspects of the vehicle so you don't always have to rely on a professional to save you every time. You know, and like I said, what we're doing, you kind of have to figure things out as you go in this lifestyle, but you can definitely save some money. I mean, you know, we have a lot payment that we pay for our 19 acres on a 15-year land lease, and so I mean, we pay for 19 acres and we pay $400 a month, and after 15 years we'll have the deed in our hands, which is less than 12 years from now. So, you know, it's money well spent that goes to calling this place is legitimately in the eyes of the law calling it ours. So, you know, there's all these different ways to go about, you know, going through the maze and trying to save money and not get caught up in so many traps where your money's just flying out all the time. But, you know, just speaking from this vantage point, you know, we spent $15,000 and built 3 structures for ourselves out here, and have a 16 by 22 cabin and a bathhouse and an outhouse. And, you know, we don't pay for plumbing. We you know, for water to come in, we haul our own water, as I've talked to you about before. But there's so many different avenues, you know, in this lifestyle, for instance, that you can save so much money, and we don't have to feel like we have to be jumping through so many circus rings out in the world to provide what we came out here to do. And so just putting that out there to people, the more you learn about other aspects of living, then the more that you save and the more experience and knowledge that you have.
Indeed. Yeah, all great advice. The more skills you can develop in this world, the more ways you can find to save your own money and make your own livelihood and not depend on others, which is where a lot of expenses are. Yeah, great advice.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like everyone's going to be willing to go do what we do out here. I mean, I've told you this before. I mean, heck, we just started with $3,000, a Honda Accord, and a Jeep Cherokee, and put $2,000 on our land. And I told Christina, I said, I've got the experience, I got the know-how of most of the stuff we need to do, but I need you to, help me with everything that we do. And that's the thing also, is having a good teammate. And you can't, it's not something you can rush, but if you find yourself in that type of relationship one day, then you have to work together and not be working against each other. Because, basically you have the opportunity to double up your efforts and your ability to make things happen in your lives, or you have the opportunity to just screw each other's lives up. So, if you find a good teammate, then working on these goals together makes you both that much more, not just prepared, but, for accidents or for mishaps in life, but help you prepare to be a better teammate, and reaching these goals gets to be easier,
Indeed. That's great advice too. Yeah, making the right life choices, having the right people around you, whether it's your friends or your significant other. If you're more successful being around that person, your energy level's better, you're more motivated, that's the right person to be around. If the person's like putting you on all the wrong paths and tearing you down when you got a great idea, that's the wrong person for you. And some people end up staying around the wrong influences, and they're forever held back because of that. So
I agree. And, it's like I said, it's not, there's something that was taught to me a while back as far as going through my own failed relationships. Something I came across through some people along the way. Someone told me one time that you can't choose who you love. And the more I've gone through this relationship for 5 years with Christina, it just, it makes more sense to me now from the perspective that I'm living at now. This was told to me probably 10 or 15 years ago. And it took me this experience to understand and realize just what that means and what it encompasses. But something else I was going to put out to you also, since we're on air, if anybody out there is curious about, living off grid, you guys can check us out on YouTube at Primitive Oasis. And that's our YouTube channel. We've got a whole whopping 43 subscribers. But, it's all one big development. If you want to watch our story, you can see it. If you just want to go check in and see what we've posted, recently about the polar vortex and how we got through it and all that stuff, just different things. But it's up there. It's Primitive Oasis. And,
I just subscribed. I'm number 44. Okay.
What's that?
I just subscribed. I was not subscribed before. So.
Awesome. Yeah, man. So you can keep up with us. And, that idea that I pitched to you about a month or so ago, I'll get off the line here in a moment, but the idea I pitched to you about, a super group meetup of sorts, having a type of workshop of people with like minds and spirits, and trying to impart different things to each other, and see if we can't add pieces to each other's puzzle that we, maybe didn't see before, where they went and whatnot, and help, just in different aspects. But that's something we can talk about later. I'd love it if you contacted me on this number sometime and off air, and we can just kind of rattle about it for a second and see if we can come out with something that's actually feasible.
All right, I'll do that, and I always appreciate you checking in. And everybody, if you want to check out the YouTube channel and how they're living, Primitive Oasis. Appreciate it, friend.
Yeah, and Christina wants to close out right here.
Hey, Zach.
Hi, Christina.
Yeah, just about saving money. just from a younger perspective, I guess. I'm only 26 years old, and something that I see a lot of people my age kind of falling into is being just subscribed to a lot of stuff that costs them a lot of money that they maybe don't need to be subscribed to. So while not everybody's willing to sacrifice having electricity and running hot water at the touch of a button, you maybe don't need to be subscribed to every streaming service or every music provider, all that kind of stuff. I think takes a lot of people's money too. So
Indeed.
I think it's all about like what you're willing to sacrifice, what can you live without that will maybe help you get ahead financially.
100%.
That's all I
Yeah.
say about it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, brother.
All right.
Stay in touch, and like I say, holler at us sometime about maybe sometime in the summer having a small group of people to come out and see if we can't do a nice collaboration.
All right. I would love to come out there and check out the place. I still got to finish the trip and make it down to the Atlanta, which is a lot closer to you. So we'll be in touch. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Be safe out there, Zach, and keep your head up.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Later, bro.
All right. Take care. All right. Well, it's nice they found, a nice couple and with a shared vision. And they're out there living off the grid. And that's another great way to save money. I mean, everything he said is true. Again, for all the young people out there, if there's any young people watching, develop your skills at a young age. And if there's something that you really love doing, become an enthusiast of that. Put in as much time as possible and get as good at it as you possibly can. And you can make a living out of that. Whether it's arts or learning a skill like, again, construction, building, electrician, plumber, all of these things are so helpful, so useful. A mechanic, these things aren't going out of style. They'll always be in need. And it seems like right now there's never been a greater need for more people in every profession. What's funny is the pharmacy up here, the Rite Aid pharmacy, it's been shut down for the last few days because nobody wants to work. None of the on-call pharmacists, the main pharmacist who's there is apparently getting married. There's a shortage of just, it's like, where did everybody go? Right now there's a monstrous opportunity. There's a shortage of workers. Because there's a shortage of workers, you can get a better wage because people are desperate for employees, but I'm just sharing the thing about the pharmacy right now. I'm aware of that because Sweet Lady, that's the industry she now works in. But yeah, I can't think of a time in my lifetime where they had to shut down the pharmacy for several days because they can't even get a pharmacist in there. Of course, it's the holiday time, but again, there's a shortage of workers right now. There's a lot of opportunity. Yes, things are expensive, but where there's a will, there's a way. You're probably not going to get lucky like I did buying a house right now at the right time where things are rock bottom. But you know what? This housing market probably will come back down and eventually it will rise back up. Just like, stocks, it's never really been my thing, but people have changed their entire life in the stock market. If the stocks are going to come down a lot further than they already have, there'll be a buying opportunity where they'll eventually go back up. And again, another opportunity I missed out on in my life. It was right before my business got destroyed. But again, I've told this story before. One of my customers, when I had the weed delivery system, she was a woman who was in her late 40s, and she had a day job working at Google. She wasn't like the computer programmer, but she had a job at the Google there. And her job, when she wasn't doing her day job, because she said that's how she was putting her daughter through college. Her daughter was in med school. She was literally selling her body for money. She was a prostitute by night. And I didn't know this at first, but when I found out that she was a prostitute, she called me up in the middle of the night and asked me if I could come pick her up. It was an emergency. I didn't know what was going on at the time, but she said she didn't know who else to call, and she trusted me. I seemed like a nice person. And she was just in a situation with a guy who was threatening her, and she needed to get out of there. So she's telling me the story when I drive her home. Well, in the time that I had the business and knew her, there was a few more times where she ended up calling me in the middle of the night to come pick her up. So anyway, because I'd helped her out, she told me, she said, Zach, because I work at Google, I have some insider information on something. It was back in 2014. There was a merger with Google and Motorola for some new phone at the time. It was like fast charging, and there were some other perks to it. And she said, trust me, like this stock price is about to blow up. I think it was for Motorola at the time. And she's like, we're not even allowed to invest on it. So this is technically insider information. But she's like, Zach, if you have money available, I'm telling you, buy this stock. You'll be Bill Gates, or she said something like that. And she wasn't kidding, because I remember paying attention. I did not do it because, I don't know, I didn't do it because I've never been a stock market guy, and also because, well, there was a few reasons I didn't do it. But anyway, the point is I didn't do it. But the stock just blew up. It went up so many times. And I just thought, like, because what was crazy for me is this happened right before my house got burglarized and then everything was in the safe and everything got stolen. I ended up losing everything. But in my mind, I kept going over, God, imagine had I taken everything, bought that stock, which skyrocketed, instead of losing everything, because I didn't know that everything was about to get sabotaged and stolen. I mean, I didn't see the future, but again, that is how you can make money in the market. Like if you're paying attention and you saw that Google and Motorola are making that merger and you knew it was going to be big, maybe you didn't work for the company, but you're just paying attention. And actually, I don't think anybody knew that announcement was going to be made, because that's what caused it to shoot up. But she did, because she worked for the company. The point is, sometimes though, by having information and being aware of things, you can say, you know what? I think I want to invest in that. And then maybe you invested $1,000 and it did shoot up times 8. Guess what? Now you have $8,000. Now maybe you can afford to start that business because you made one little smart investment. You know, maybe you're wealthier. Maybe you have $10,000 to invest. Now all of a sudden your $10,000's $80,000. You have another down payment for a house. You now with that other house, you're using it as a rental, and you're charging the rent that covers the mortgage. And again, real estate, it does go up and down, but over time it continually goes up and up and up. It's just like my mom got her first house back in the 70s, and I forget what it was. It was like $10,000 for her first house. The house is in Portland, Oregon, and probably worth $500,000 now. It was a little tiny little box. But again, over time, it's gone up times 50 because our money's always going down. So again, if you have money saved, if an opportunity arises because you have that saved money, my mom's calling in. Well, I'll take my mom's call. How you doing, Mom?
Hi, you guys in the ice storm?
Do you know I'm doing a live stream right now?
Oh, no, sorry. All right, I just left the post office and I asked him about your zoning there for your mail, and he said it's up to the city, or if you're in the county, it's county zoning, and if it's the city, if you're in the city of Prosser, it's the city zoning that has to...
The post office has assured me they're going to begin delivering my mail after January 1st, so I'm almost here.
But it's the city that has to establish that address. He told me, not the post office. So if they don't, you have to get on your city zoner.
Okay. All right.
The zoning department, that makes sense. Okay, I didn't know. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everybody.
All right. Thanks, Mom.
See what 2023 brings.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Love you.
All right. Love you.
Bye.
Okay. I assume she must have been watching since I was talking about her house. Funny that she called in right then. But, again, if you have money saved, if the opportunity strikes and you see opportunity, guess what? Now you're in position to score, but you can't score if you don't have anything there to score with. So, and then that might be the day that you look back and you're like, man, how much money did I spend on weed and alcohol the last 5 years? Let me do the math on that. Man, I spent like $300 on a bag a month. Probably spending $100 on alcohol. Man, I spent like $400. I spent like $5,000 a year. Man, imagine if I had $25,000 saved up that didn't just all process through my body in smoke and urine. Because again, when you guys think about it, I know you enjoy the feeling, but the feeling is temporary, and all those nice feelings you had, it might have helped you cope in the world. I know how it is, but at the same time, had you been more disciplined and you sacrificed and forgone that great feeling, you would have had $25,000 in the bank and the chance to score. And again, I know there's a lot of people in this community who are trying to get ahead, but they're spending all their money on things like weed and liquor. And it's like the other year when I was down at the Pals Books giving away my books, a guy literally came up and I gave him a free copy of the book, and he said he'd like to pay for it, but he can't afford it. And I didn't give him a hard time about it, but he was smoking a cigarette. I mean, a pack of cigarettes almost costs as much as what my book is. So when he comes up to me and tells me that he'd like to pay for it, but he can't and he'd like a free copy, I don't have a problem giving him a free copy. I said I was going to be down there to give away free copies, but when you're telling me that you can't afford the book and you're sitting there smoking a cigarette at the same time, and I know that pack of cigarettes costs almost as much as the book, again, it's just like, you could afford the book. It's just you choose to be broke and spend your money on cigarettes. That's the choice you make. So, in a way, I mean, he doesn't have to be broke. Cigarettes are super expensive now. They didn't used to be. A lot of people spend $300 a month on weed. Some people spend way more than that, man. Again, when I had the delivery service, I had guys that would spend that much a week, I had guys that would, every Friday would roll around, they'd be making another $300 order every week. There's guys that spend over $1,000 a month on weed. And I mean, guys who are spending $1,000 a month on weed, a lot of them have better jobs and are making money, but still, even if you have money in a high-paying job, is it still worth it to be spending $1,000 a month on weed? Not in my opinion. To me, that's abusive. Because, I mean, the thing is, for anyone who smoked weed, when you're smoking that much weed, you do get a little feeling out of it, but you kind of like sabotaged the benefit of the weed. I mean, again, I'm a veteran smoker. I've been smoking a long time. If you take a few days off and you smoke weed, then you get this much better high feeling, this much more creative thing. Whereas if you smoke weed every day, I mean, you kind of get the high feeling and it's a little bit nice, but you're not in that great, like, you're not having like the great thought. My words aren't coming to me. You're not having the great creative thoughts. Like when I think of like a funny thing or a great lesson plan. Back when I was a school teacher, as a school teacher back when weed was still legal, I still remember my teachers would come in and they'd be like, Zach, where do you get the ideas for these lesson plans? And I could never tell them where it really came from. What I want to say was, last night I was having a nice little toke and just the lightning struck and I knew that was the lesson that was going to resonate with everybody. And again, to me, that's the beauty of weed. So like I was talking about earlier with Walter Veith, he's on there saying that weed's this evil, horrible thing. It's of the devil, typical Christian crap. And it's like, dude, this stuff is so wrong, man. I mean, dude, that's why I just can't get down with the religious crowd. It's just like, what you're saying is complete BS. Have you even smoked weed in your life? I understand that all things are good and bad, but man, some of the best thoughts I ever had in my life were provoked from smoking weed. Some of the most creative, clever thoughts I had, some of the most interesting ideas. So when you're just there going, oh, the weed is the devil and the Jesuits push weed on society, it's like, okay, well, before your presentation on the Jesuits was helpful and good, but now we've gone to a place that I don't think is true, and now it's becoming a lot of your opinions. And again, weed's been a thing that's been with a lot of cultures since way before. By the way, thank you, X2 Trouble Music. I appreciate that. But again, there's a balance to everything. If you're spending $50 a month on weed, that's still a lot to spend. That's $600 over the course of the year, but it's better than spending $1,000 a month. So, Cut says, I got the seeds. Yeah, seeds, man. Yeah, collect your seeds. Maintain your strains. So, yeah, when I had my business, man, people knew that, that was the other thing about my bit. I've always been too nice to people. I can't tell you how many times. Here, I'll also tell you guys something about being too nice to people. I remember, oh my God, I had this customer. He was the worst customer. I don't know why I didn't cut him off. He would make me so mad. But he'd always beg. Oh, I needed the pain. Okay, this guy, when I would come over, it would always take him like 20 minutes to answer the door and come out of his house. I'd end up usually going back to my car. I knew he'd always eventually come out. Some days he'd come out in 5 minutes, but a lot of times it would take 20 minutes. He's just wasting my time. And there were times where I just had to leave because I had other deliveries, but if I could wait, I would, because I knew he'd eventually come out. But then at the end, he started coming out after 20 minutes. He'd be like, oh man, I don't even have any money. Can I pay you next time? And I'd be like, okay. Now I'm sitting here 20 minutes and now you don't have any money either? But being me, I'd be like, all right, but you better pay next time. Because like I'm waiting here 20 minutes and now you also don't have the money? Man, I let this guy go like 5 times in a row. But he'd been a customer for a while and he had been paying, so I thought eventually he'd come through. So like 5 times in a row, it's the same thing. I'm waiting 20 minutes. He comes out again. He still doesn't have money. His tab's getting bigger and bigger. And then like the 6th time, I just said, dude, I said, unless you can, after he didn't have money the one time when I drew the line, I just cut him off. But then he called me up after all these months, right? After all these months, he called me up, and it just happened to be my birthday. It just happened to be my birthday that he called up, and he was just begging. He's like, dude, I need it so bad. I've got your money. I'm going to pay you back. I said, well, it's good because it's my birthday. Man, I get to this guy's house. Once again, here we are. It's like taking longer than ever to come out. Longer than ever, and it's my birthday too. And he comes out, and he's like, man, my girl just left, and I had the money, but she left with it. He's like, man, can you just give me 20 instead? I was like, on my birthday, after all this time when I already cut you off, and you just told me that I was going to come over and you're going to pay me back, and now you're asking me to front you another 20. He was like, I promise, you won't ever have to front me again. You guys, what I did is I gave him the $20. I said, here's my birthday gift to you. I said, don't ever call me again, and he didn't. But, I mean, just some people are a joke, and that's always been a mistake that I made in my life. I've always been too forgiving. I've always helped out people too many times. And that's the thing. If you're a generous person in this world, you'll find out that people don't appreciate it. They'll use and abuse you. And when you need help from them or them to come through, that they're still not. They're still trying to use and abuse you. And again, I'd encourage everybody to cut all those negative people out of your life. And the moment you start to pick up on that somebody's just a user and they're just going to drain you and manipulate, just say no more. If that person's your girlfriend or your boyfriend, end the relationship. It's not going to get better. These people will continue to do the same thing over and over. Again, a mistake I've made is allowing certain people to come back into the community who ultimately just do harm and damage. And even part of the reason I'm doing this video is just to address one of those people. I mean, that person showed what a disgraceful human being they were yesterday and what a joke of a human being they were. And again, they made a video in the morning saying that my Monday Night Football pick would be wrong and they'd be right. And you know what? My Monday Night Football pick was not wrong. And it wasn't a strong pick, but everybody knew that I was leaning towards the Chargers last night. And they made it real clear that I would be wrong about the Chargers and the Colts would win. And then at the end of the night, of course, the Colts lost last night, and they're in their video saying that I got the Monday Night Football pick wrong. And it's just like, see how dishonest this person is? This person learned from me. I promoted this person. I helped build them up, and then all they ever wanted was to use my name to promote their own brand and try to put themselves ahead. And now they're making videos just slandering me. Zach's stealing everybody's money to buy a $500,000 house. It's like, I haven't stolen anybody's money. Every house that I've owned has been paid for with money from past hard work and luck in the appreciation of the first home. So, and then again, there's clowns out there who don't know what's going on. They're making all these assumptions, So, again, I want to, remind also, separate from this topic, all of the people that are working so hard to slander me right now, these people are goons and liars and frauds. The one guy who just screen recorded my hater hotline, he heard the call of Tyrone who called in and thanked me for week 9 and said he made over $4,000 off my picks in week 9. And then the guy puts up a video, and in the same video where he takes clips, he makes a point about what a terrible NFL week 9 I had. I had a very good NFL week 9. And he even watched the caller call in and thank me for it and how he made $4,000. Then he's doing a video all chopped up and edited and leaves out that and even decides to make a point in the video about how bad my NFL Week 9 was. Again, all these people out here, you guys, who are trying to create all these false narratives and attacks, They're nothing but haters, liars, slanderers, and most of them, all they really owe me at the end of the day is a thank you. All they should be making videos about is thank you, Zach, for teaching me the knowledge. Thank you, Zach, for grinding every day for the last decade, pumping out this knowledge. That's all I should be hearing from these people. But the only reason that that's not what we're hearing from these people is because human beings, a lot of us are a flawed species. Jealousy, greed, ego, selfishness, these things are rampant in humanity. And for anyone to accuse me of those things, those people are blind. You know, again, you never seen anybody in the history of the world get out here and grind every day for 5 years straight and never raise a penny. You know, and that came with real consequences for me, because for putting this stuff out there, a lot of negative stuff came into my world, including the day that my house was sabotaged and so was my business. And yeah, again, I don't appreciate being slandered. I've always stayed true to the things that I said I would do. And the one plan that did change, again, I explained how the new path would be supporting a platform to promote people in the age of censorship and build up other people's platforms. And how many times have you seen me get on here and bring on somebody and introduce them and say, hey, here's their platform, support their channel, go subscribe to their channel, support their Patreon. Again, I've done that for so many people. I don't really see anyone else doing that on YouTube that has a decent audience. So, yeah, I mean, these haters are a joke. Yeah, and then I also get annoyed with people like, man, it's too bad there's so much division in the community. You guys, these people who create the division, which is not me, people can accuse me of creating the division. I haven't started anything with anybody in this community, and I've turned the other cheek too many times, but I have to address things when it starts to build up, and then people, because the thing is, if you don't address it, what I learned is people are like, well, Zach's not saying anything about it, so maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. It's like, no, it's not true. It's just, this is annoying. Do you know how many people I've helped out who've like tried to stab me in the back? It's annoying as everything. So. Appreciate it, Gertz. Thank you. But, yeah, and again, I mean, that's the other thing too, is like people are so soft, right? You can do 10 nice things to them, you do one thing that offends them, and then all the 10 nice things don't matter, and now they're having a big blow up over the thing that upset them. And again, like when I call out people, like I come from the world of tough love. For the young caller in Florida, man, I appreciate all you want to do, but it's okay. Go start you guys. What do you guys think? Should I take his call? He calls all the time. By the way, young guy on the phone. Here's another lesson for the young people. Sometimes, like sweet lady and I are just trying to enjoy the evening. It's 8:30. I got young guy calling over and over and over, and I'm not picking up the phone because I'm spending time with her. It's like if you call somebody 15 times and they don't pick up the phone, don't call a 16th time. That's another life lesson. Somebody's not picking up the phone, it's because they want to chill out for a minute. So anyway. But yeah, if we don't have other people, again, that's kind of just the rule I want. If you call in one time and made your point, that's good. I want to hear a multitude of voices. I don't want it to feel like there's only 3 people that call in the show, which is how it feels a lot of the time. And also, since we're talking about financial advice, I'd expect somebody else out there in the community has something to say. He'd call him right back right now. It's like he doesn't get it. All right, here, let's see. He's calling 100 times. This is what he does. I hope he has another good piece of advice. All right, what is it, resident 18-year-old?
Hey, Zach. So I really liked what you said about people choosing to be broke, because I mean that's basically what it is. Another caller said that like I learned my stuff from an adult. I'm not shaming him. I actually really like what he's doing. All on my own. That was what I wanted to read. I enjoyed it, and I read like 3 other of his books. And
Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki. That's the author you're talking about.
And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so when I was 8 or 9 years old, you know, my dream job was to be a real estate agent. Like everybody else wanted to be like a policeman or whatever. I wanted to be a real estate agent. I was like, those people make a lot of money, and you know, that sounds like something I'd like to do. You know, and like one lady that I knew that was broke. She was always broke. She's still broke. And basically what she did, her kid, she bought her kid that was like 8 years old or 7 years old an $800 phone when you can just buy a cheap $150 phone brand new. And it's like, why would you do that? You know, it's like, and then he broke it like a week later, he smashed it. And it's like, and they're always coming to us, and my mom would always give the kid like my stuff that was mine, you know, and she would always help these people out. And it was like, they don't have to be like, this is by choice, you know. If you're broke for like 10, 15, 20 years, it's on you. You're choosing to be broke. It's not life or whatever. You're making bad decisions, and you continually make bad decisions, and that's why you're losing all your money. One thing, the earlier caller that was talking about building your own cabin, that's a really good idea. You know, there's all these videos on YouTube on how to build your own cabin. You know, particularly, I wouldn't go without electricity or internet, but, you know, you can still do that, and you can still get internet. You can get solar. You can get, you know, Starlink or whatever, and you can have all your creature comforts and, you know, live in a cheap house. And another tip, you know, if you're up north and it's colder, well, I mean, it's pretty cold here, especially for Christmas. You know, maybe don't put the heater up or don't turn it on at all. Me personally, I never turn it on. The house was, I think, like 57 yesterday. And you know what?
You're like my dad. That's a little bit too. My dad will do that. He'll keep it super cold and just wear layers. But yeah, I always keep the heater lower in the summer, in the winter, and just wear like a sweatshirt and a beanie in the house, which some people think is stupid, but it's saving on your energy bill. And then in the summer, just keep it a little bit warmer, and you know, just keep fluids in, and so. Anyhow, all right, appreciate it, man. Great tips again. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, yeah, take care. Yeah, he has. I appreciate that he wants to help out. But again, he'll call in and like echo a lot of ideas that have already been put out there. And like I said, I'd rather hear from newer voices. I'd like to hear from other people out there that have figured out ways to get financially ahead. So, but if we don't have anybody else, that's all right. We got Gary in the chat, and Gary's the master of picking up new jobs and moving from one workplace to the next. And I think he's getting better about saving his money too and not spending it out at the bar. But that's funny. That's funny. Yeah. But hey, guys, save your money. Be smart with your money. Eat at home. Make your own meals. And eating at home is usually healthier too, because the thing about food, when you eat out, it's loaded with sugar. You make your food at home, it won't have as much sugar in it. That sugar is going to cause health problems down the road. And again, one other thing is as our dollars depreciate, if you're holding your money in the bank, you do want to have a rainy day account. But the thing is, as time goes on, the money becomes worth less and less. So that's why it's better to invest in something that can help generate some kind of financial return or offset inflation. And real estate can be that. Right now, the market's so high, you got to think it's going to come down a bit, but it'll eventually go back up. And that, like when I bought this house right now, I didn't want to sell my house and buy a house at this time, but that's what we did because of Sweet Lady. But here, just to say one more thing about why I was okay with this, even though I expect the value of this home. Because again, we just sold our house for near $500,000. That's what the market value was. That's what we would have got if it wasn't a bad time to sell. And we bought this house for $500,000, which is a lot. 4 years ago, this house would have been $300,000, but now everything's so ridiculous, it's $500,000. But again, since we had a house worth that much, it was doable. The thing is, what I also know about real estate is even though the market's probably going to go down and this house will become worth less than $500,000 for a period of time, we're moving into an area that's up and coming. They're going to be building more homes. They're building a brand new hospital. They're doing a renovation to the town. So I looked at this housing market or this area, and I said, you know what? Even though it is high right now, and it's probably going to take a little dip, as long as we stay here for 5 years, I imagine in 5 years, this home will probably be worth in the neighborhood of $600,000 to $700,000. And again, It could even be worth more than that if things get as crazy as they've been in the past, but it should be up. And if you do the math on that, it's like, okay, if in the next 5 years you estimate that your home's going to be worth $100,000 to $200,000 more, that's like an extra $20,000 to $40,000 that you made per year, right? So if you held your money in the bank, it's going to be worth less. It's definitely going to be worth less in that amount of time, whereas something like real estate could be worth more. So you got to be smart about what you do with your investments. Stock market, you can make a lot of money in the stock market, but you can also lose all of your money in the stock market. Stocks are risky. Crypto, like I told you guys, I was pretty sure crypto was a big scam, setting up for people for a lot of losses. I wasn't wrong about that. And again, that's just having common sense. That's just having common sense, you guys. I think that's also part of the reason somebody who used to be pretty loyal has become kind of bitter, because he was spending a lot of his time on promoting crypto. And there's other people in the community that I like are into the crypto thing. I'm not trying to make you guys feel bad, but to me, it always seemed obvious that crypto was a scam. I mean, you're talking about an electronic currency that you really can't spend anything. You don't know anything about really what's behind it. They're trying to get you excited about electronic currency. And again, if you took my advice on crypto, I told you when it was going up and when it looked like it was coming back down, and I wasn't wrong about that. And that was from having this knowledge. But it doesn't mean that it won't go back up at some point again. They still need to keep people excited about electronic currency. It's just, I prefer not to invest in things that are really gimmicky and ultimately supporting, an agenda like getting everybody on digital currency so they can keep track of every last penny. So, real estate is something I'm comfortable in, because the other thing about real estate is, you guys, again, we paid $500,000 for this house. Let's say the market goes way back down, right? Let's say in 3 years, this house is worth $300,000. That sucks, right? Because it's like, man, it's like I lost $200,000. But at the end of the day, I still have a house. I have a place to live. That has a lot of value. And then also I can be like, well, you know what? I bought my other house for $300,000. It appreciated to $500,000. I got another house for $500,000. Now I'm just back to where I was in 2018. At least I still have a house. And in time, it'll go back up. So that's why I've always been more comfortable with an investment like real estate, because historically it's going to go up in time even if it goes down. And again, even if it goes down, at least you have a place to live. Can't say that about crypto. If your crypto crashes, it's not like you can live under your crypto coin. If your stock market investment is lost, you can't get under the paperwork from the stocks. Well, I guess you could. You could live out on the park bench and cover yourself in all the paper mailings you got each month for what the value of your investment was. But it'd be better to be in a house. So anyway, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. And thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And again, it's another year. Again, I know the time is kind of arbitrary, but a lot of time when the new year comes around, it does get people into a new mindset. If you're that person that's been blowing all your money on weed and alcohol and cigarettes and going out to for the lap dances and all that, because I know there's people in this community. I see some of the people in this chat who spend a lot of their money on those things. There are people in this community who call me up drunk from the lap dance bar, telling me about how much money they spend. I'm just like, how do you follow my channel? Where am I giving out this kind of advice? Go blow all your money on alcohol come on, man, do better. But if that's you, in the new year, maybe try to save up that money. So especially since you have a good job, and go out and get your own house. Don't put all your money up in smoke. So always try to improve yourself with each passing day. New skill, better outlook on life, better strategy, better habits. And you don't have to wait till the new year to do it either. So hold on, right as I'm about to get off, somebody decided to call in. Here's a guy who's improved his life position. What's up, Victor?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I just caught, pretty much the tail end of your stream, and you probably touched on a bunch of things that I could already said. But definitely one of the things that I do believe in is picking the right life partner and counterpart is very, very important to your progress, your overall success. Finding someone that matches your ambitions, pushes you to be a better person, supports your dreams and your goals, could be priceless. I'm pretty sure somebody already touched on that already, but from personal experience, you don't really know or realize how impactful somebody on the same page as you can elevate you to that next level.
I 100% agree. Again, having the right people in your life partner, yes. Having the right friends. I mean, you hang out with the right group of friends, you'll be on a lot better path. You hang out with a group of friends who are like, oh man, that's stupid, man. Let's go blow all our money on this. I mean, you're going to be on the wrong path. So.
Yeah, and one other thing too that I also believe in. So a lot of times, a lot of things that people talk about when it comes to like financial independence is obviously the money aspect of it, but I also believe that energy is a form of currency as well. So I always advise people, you have to be very, very careful who you invest your time in and who you give your energy to, because time is priceless and energy is squandered, and the universe works off of energy, right? So a lot of times people that aren't truly there for you, they can be blocking your blessings, right? They could be blocking your progress from you moving on up to a better situation. We live in a time right now where you have homeless people giving financial advice. Right? We live in a time where single people are giving marital advice. They're selling marital advice. We're in a time where unsuccessful people give advice on entrepreneurship and business. This is the age of fraud and deceit, and people need to really, really be careful, not only on who you support, who you keep yourself around, but who you associate yourself with and who you give your energy to. Like me, myself, for example, I made a conscious decision to invest in a potential, friendship with you many, many years ago. I made a conscious decision to invest my time in learning this knowledge to benefit, my overall situation a very, very long time ago. And that was something I made consciously and knowing the way in which I wanted to go about it, right? What's very important is to have short-term goals. A lot of times people that they're looking 5-10 years ahead, which is very good, but to have short-term goals is just as important, because mentally you want to be able to have a moment to appreciate any sort of growth, any sort of success, any sort of accomplishment. So the mental aspect of it is very, very important also.
Yeah, all really well said and all 100% true. And again, for investing your time in this community, a lot of positive things have come out of it. And that's not true for everybody who's put in the time in the community. There's other people out there who are hating and have had a negative experience. But again, I'd say the reason that Victor's been successful in the community, again, he's met a beautiful woman through this. He's improved his financial position. Victor has always had a great outlook, a positive attitude. And, he hasn't gotten pulled into any of the negative crap. And again, you guys, I'm a lot more flawed human being than, for example, Victor or Jeremy White, who are guys who've benefited from this knowledge. They're all about keeping things positive all the time, and I respect that. That's not who I am, though. I'm a terribly flawed human being. And but again, Victor doesn't get into that, and he's just stayed, doing well. So anyway, I got to compliment Victor in that regard. And again, what I guess Victor's philosophy might be, take the good and leave out the bad and use it to benefit and get ahead. So, I mean, is that fair what I'm saying, Victor? Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, that's definitely the overall bit. And also, Zach, not everything about me is 100% positive, but the way, I guess, if I can give you any advice, it would be this. When you do address a certain situation, or if you're going to go to that place, you have to pick your battles very, very selectively. So, for example, I've decided when and which I'm going to give a certain situation my energy. And when I address it knowing this is my stance, this is my belief, and after this, where I'm going to move forward. There's no going back with me. So what I've always told you is like, you get one opportunity with me, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Because character, the universe is not going to lie to you. Somebody's going to show you a lot quicker than they tell you. And that's what I pay attention to. The verbal part of it, this is a very, very, the game we live in now is very, very verbal. People can lie to you all day. I pay attention to the actions, and character is a big part of it. And we live in the age of hypocrisy, Zach. You know that. Somebody can out the left side of their mouth tell you one thing and then do it with the right side of their mouth, but they feel like they're in a position to judge you on the very same things that they continue to do. It is the age of fraud, deceit, and hypocrisy. So I choose very selectively what I give my energy to. But when I address something, I shut it down. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that, again, I think that's probably not a bad philosophy, because, again, I'm not that way. I'll always give people a million chances, and it usually just ends up creating a lot of headaches for me, and I'm like, why do I keep doing this? But I respect it.
Yeah, and that's a common thing, too. A lot of people, genuine people and hardworking people are the number one type of person that gets taken advantage in this system, in this world that we live in. I tell people that all the time. And it's sad because it's not supposed to be that way. People like that are supposed to be appreciated and elevated. But, with this system and the people that control it, everything is, opposite. So where you're supposed to be appreciated, elevated, you're not. You're stepped on. You're embarrassed. You're disrespected. And even when you do countless things for people, it's not looked upon as like that. You're going to get highlighted with the negative and anything like that. And I've continued to let one thing speak for me mainly, and that's just been the work and the way that I carry myself. There's nothing else that I let speak louder than those two things, the work and the way I carry myself.
Yeah, and that's all you need to do, and it's been a successful model, and it's going to keep being a successful model. So I appreciate it, Victor. Keep it up.
And I appreciate you, brother. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks, Vic. Take care. All right. Yeah, that's Victor, Mr. Futures. Yesterday, he had a great idea to give something back to the community. The first ever Gematria Games. We're debating on doing another one. If we do another one, it'd be nice to get a lot more participants. I was thinking we'd have more participants yesterday. But yeah. You get caught up in negative energy. It doesn't do anything positive for you. And I get caught up in that all the time because that's the reason that I got a pack of paid for trolls that harass 24/7, 365, and it gets tiring. It's just like, but yeah, my nature is to respond. I have trouble just letting it go on. So, but it honestly doesn't make me feel better, and it does eat up my own time and energy. So, Victor's philosophy is probably the better one. Anyhow, yeah, again, remove yourself from as much negative energy as you possibly can, because that will always hold you back. If you have nothing but negative people around you, people that always say, "No, you can't do that. You'll never do that." It's going to hold you back. You got to remove those people. That's why in 2013, I had to say goodbye to pretty much all my friends, man, because when I found this knowledge, I knew it was something, and I knew it was powerful. And I realized that all my friends who I'd been around with since, some of them elementary school, middle school, they were all just became haters and called me mentally ill and questioning my sanity. And I was just like, you know what, man? I've been knowing for a while that I'm too evolved for these people. I've always been the leader of the pack, and they can't recognize who the leader is. Goodbye. And I wasn't wrong. I wish they'd come back around and admit that I was right, but they can't. Their ego's too big. They can't admit that I was right. They can't admit that the sports game's rigged. They can't admit that the government's rigged, that the news is propaganda. They bought into the lies and the matrix too much. And again, I know a lot of you guys have those same people in your life, people that just like worship the matrix. They're on their knees for the lies. They're wearing their slave muzzle. They've given up their bodily sovereignty. It's depressing being around these people. Separate yourself as much as you can. And it might even be your own family members. It might even be your own family members that you got to distance yourself from. So Anyhow, separate yourself from bad energy. And, you know, it's just like some people, they think I'm bad energy, so they have to leave the channel. And there's another thing to life, like putting yourself in other people's shoes. Like, a lot of people don't appreciate or have any concept of what it is to work every single day for a decade straight at something that, you know, gets you mostly nothing but flack and problems, which is what I do. And, you know, they never really thought about how difficult that is to be trolled and harassed every day and be slandered and go through all the crap I've gone through. And you just got to accept that too. It's like, you can't let that weigh you down. If I let everybody who had a problem with me weigh me down each day, I'd never get anywhere. I'd just be moping around and just be like, oh, man, I made that. So, again, you got to be yourself also in this world. That's another thing. You got to be true to yourself, but also try to improve yourself. I mean, I know where my flaws are and I know where I could improve, but at the same time, you know, I realize it's going to be a battle too. So it's going to be a battle to make those improvements. So, and you know what? Victor, who was just making the point about make sure who you're listening to. Is the person you're listening to for advice, do they have any reason? Are they someone to listen to? Are they successful themselves? Do they have any success in relationships? Again, when you look at yours truly, since the time I got here, I've been a pretty successful person. I've held down a relationship. I've had a home. I've been financially successful. You know, so again, before I had to be successful to even put myself on the scene. Hold on, we got another call. Maybe we got a different thought here before we close out. 210.
What's going on, Zach? It's Reyes.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man, I don't know if you get text messages or not on this phone, but Fox News put out a article today about, it was like 3 o'clock this afternoon, about what are angel numbers?
Huh.
Why do people keep seeing these numbers?
Interesting, okay.
I sent it to you to try to, you know, kind of like go through it maybe on the chat there so people could see that article. It talks about, you know, numbers that are out there that people are seeing quite often. 444s and all these numbers, and what is it exactly? And they're trying to get it towards, or steer the narrative towards it being angel numbers and a guardian angel looking out for you. And I just find it mind-boggling because I'm thinking, this sounds just like Gematria to me. I mean, everything it says in there is pointing directly towards Gematria.
It's numerology,
like,
yeah.
Wow.
It's numerology. So.
Yeah, you know, it's like they're putting it out there right there in your face. You know what I mean? Mocking you and making the people have more of that religious spirit inside of them. You know, at this time of year, with the Christmas holiday here. And it was funny too, the other day, I believe it was Thursday, a couple days before Christmas, we were watching the news down here in San Antonio, and on Fox 29, which is local, they were talking about a new pill out there. It's the miracle pill. And you take this pill and you won't be hungover, and it's just coming out just in time for the holidays. And I believe they spelled it MYRKL, miracle. And in there was 25 and 56, you know, 25 like Christmas. It's a Christmas miracle. And 56, of course, you know, the list goes on and on. But I don't know if you're looking at that article. It's pretty interesting what they're saying in there, man. They're just putting it right there. And once again, the people are coming in the community and starting shit for no reason with you. And it's just comical now, man. It really is.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. All right, man. Well, I'll check out the article. I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, buddy. Take care, Zach.
All right, take care. Okay. For the other person who was trying to phone in, you can call back 951. I'll hold on for you if you had something for the topic. But let's not get off topic, you guys. Again, this topic is about what have you done in your life to get financially ahead? And maybe the reason we don't have many callers is because, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of people in the community that have that story. And again, it's a rare story in America. Almost everybody's trapped in the slave grind their whole life. But I'm telling you guys, the trick to get out is work hard, save up, and figure out how to start your own business so you don't have to keep working for some boss. Because remember, the reason they employ you is because you make more money for them than it costs for them to employ you. 951.
Hey, how's it going, Zach? Hey, this is off topic. I just saw you on a live, but we just seen something about. Have you heard of the new COVID simulation? The
Catastrophic contagion?
There you go. Yeah, that's it. I didn't know if you talked about it yet already.
Yeah, I covered it. I covered it a while back. And if you want to go read the post I did on it, it's there too. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, I've been following all kinds of different stuff. I tend to follow you and stuff. I just been busy, but yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there since I saw you were live. But you're on it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, sweet lady, and that's the thing too, just like looking at the direction of things that the world is going and what opportunities are going to be coming in our lifetime. And sadly, a lot of the opportunities might be morbid. Can you do morbid things? Can you be an undertaker? I have a feeling that that's going to be a huge in-demand position as we go forward. There is a massive Depop agenda. Can you be a mortician? Can you be an undertaker? Do you have the stomach for that? That might be a great career to go into, where you could start your own business. I mean, there's huge money in the funeral business. It wouldn't be my profession because I don't have the stomach for it. But if you do, that could be a great career path. 734. You got to mute your video. 734.
As we go forward,
you got to mute your video.
There is a massive.
734. You're wrong. 734, you got to mute the video and just talk through the phone. Okay, you can call back if you can figure it out. Oh, they hung up. Maybe it was just a troll. But yeah, again, I mean, look at the direction of things. You know, a lot of people are going towards solar. There's a lot of money in installing solar panels. If you don't mind going up on heights, there's a with all the people getting solar panels, there's a business to start. If you don't mind going on roofs, cleaning people's solar panels, that's a service that can be used. Solar panels are more efficient when they don't have dirt and dust and bird poop on them. But a lot of people don't want to go up on their roof and clean them. People are getting solar panels all over the place. Call to get solar panels installed right now. You got to wait several months. That means it's a growing thing right now. So always look at the direction and look where the opportunities are and figure out a way to start your own business. 540.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah, what's up?
How's it going?
It's going all right. What's going on?
Hey, I was just calling. A long-time listener here, and never called in before, but wanted to just give you a shout out. Thanks for all the hard work you're doing. And I guess your topic is on beating the 9 to 5. So that's also kind of where I'm sitting at the moment. I've been in the 9 to 5 world for quite a few years now, but just kind of like giving people some advice. I think that, at least for me, it kind of started out with a lot of side hustling. Just kind of keeping busy. Always had a little side hustle going. But I've been in probably a lot of people's shoes where I worked for the man for a long time. And I'm finally at a point in my life where I'm kind of almost ready to kick that down the road and like kind of do my own thing, like full time, you could say. But I'm working in the software world, software development. Just kind of, I have enough side work now where I can kind of sustain myself. But I just kind of wanted to mention that, just like, to give people some inspiration, like, don't give up, kind of do what you got to do to get through. Like I had to work, my normal 9 to 5 for a long time just to be able to make ends meet and all that good stuff. So, don't be too rash to like, quit your job if you, especially if you can work yourself into a position where it's not too bad, like I was able to kind of move myself into a place where I had some extra free time, and I could kind of generate a little money on the side, building sites and doing apps and things like that. So like the more you can kind of generate other revenue places, the better you'll be. But yeah, I just thought I'd just kind of call and give my little story there, and a small little shout out to my one of my other side projects I work on. It's doowans.com, DOOWANS.com.
Say it slower one more time. Say it slower so people get it.
Yeah, DOOWANS.com. do.com. So like do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Got it.
You could almost say do one.
Okay.
And it's in the kind of category of spiritual, metaphysical topics. We get into a lot of Native American philosophy, animal medicine, totems, spirit animals kind of stuff. It's really pretty cool like project that's definitely close to my heart. It's not a revenue generating site at all. Like we don't charge anything. It's completely free. And, I'm kind of exploring the possibility of monetizing this site in the future, but it would be very modest if we did. It's more of a give back kind of project. So I just thought I'd kind of mention that in case anyone's interested.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. All right, well, good luck. And yeah, I think I agree. I mean, if you have a 9-to-5, if you can start a side hustle and just continually build that until it can become your main thing and then you're your own boss, that's a great way to get out of the 9-to-5. So yeah, great call.
Exactly. That's basically how it worked out for me.
Yeah, indeed. All right, great call. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Take care.
All right, yeah, take care. Yeah, the side hustles for real. And there's never been an easier age to have a side hustle than right now. There's a lot of side hustle opportunities because of the things that have been created on the internet. We actually got another call. I guess the calls are picking up because people's 9-to-5s are ending. 818.
Yo, what's going on, Zach?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, man? So yeah, I'm calling in to talk about this 9-to-5, talk about a bunch of things, but first time caller, discover you through the whole Kobe issue and everything like that, man. I was that morning, I'm a trainer out here actually in the Valley, 818 in Southern California. And that day, man, I went to the gym and when I exited the freeway, I saw smoke and whatnot. And Kobe Bryant is someone I looked up to my whole life, all of that, right? So I needed answers and I found your channel. And yeah, man, I think hopefully you come out here next month because I'd love to speak to you in person. I think there's a lot that can be done, and obviously you've done so much. So, man, thank you. And to just get to the 9-to-5 thing, man. So, I during the pandemic, trying to figure everything out. I do personal training, but I'm not a certified personal trainer. I'm a hustler mentality. Always try to do my own thing, and always found myself kind of similarly like you, where there are people that would gravitate towards you, and then you just find yourself becoming the leader for whatever reason, right? So I started training people years back because I had an idea to start a company, and I needed to make money to fund the company. So I was like, you know what? I know a lot about training, and because prior to that, I played basketball in the Philippines. Long story. But I know about training. Let me start putting signs up. Boom. I got a couple clients, just how you mentioned, get a couple people in the beginning and then let that grow. Those clients started paying me. They referred other people. One day I found myself in Beverly Hills training some kids at a park. Other parents saw, boom. Next thing I know, I'm having this business that I started on my own, right? So it's great. Definitely was able to provide capital and funding for my startup. And then as life progressed, as I'm just on the hustle, trying to build, have my girlfriend, have she's my wife now, but figuring things out during the pandemic. All right, like I'm approaching 30 years old. What's the next move? Just being ambitious. There's fear involved, there's questions involved, there's pressure involved. The next thing was, all right, training is great, but there is a limit on it. What else can I do? What's that side hustle? So actually I started dipping into passion, and I think hopefully that I can connect with people that are listening, bringing it back to passion. So I started on the side collecting skateboards of all things. Like I literally was like training people, collecting skateboards during the pandemic. People were getting money, right, from the government and stuff. People were spending it on weird things or going back to nostalgia. I started collecting skateboards and like making YouTube videos about them. And from there, people started reaching out to me and wanting to buy skateboards off me. So I identified like a market, a potential market that was really fun and gratifying for me because looking at these boards, I had that nostalgic feeling, but then people were offering me like twice what I paid for. And I had that eye where I could kind of look at certain decks. There are so many skateboard decks out there that people put artwork on them, people put, you know, it's a booming business, but I identified that early, and I was like, hey, I think people could get on this, because if you think about, like, even right now, people are trying to figure out where do I put my money. So I started seeing skateboards as that avenue. And then I started a YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's called Flipping Boards. And using YouTube Shorts, putting out content, the channel started blowing up. And I started making money, not really off the channel, but sales off the boards, and reinvesting that money to get more boards and making content. And that just became its own business in itself. Now, conversely, I could have just said, nah, I'm good, and just focused my time on the training, which is great. Or I could have spent those extra hours at the end of the day watching Netflix or watching some, predictive programming on TV or whatnot. But I knew that wasn't going to move me forward. So I guess my kind of advice to people is, hey, just start with finding something that interests you, that puts a smile on your face, and then just see if there's a way to build a business around that. Like, I literally didn't know that me collecting a couple skateboards, starting with like 10, 20 skateboards, it literally led to me having, now I'm like the #1 skateboard deck seller online on eBay. And like, I have like over 1,000 decks, and like, man, my channel has like 300K subs, and I've just been waiting for you to come to LA so we can talk in person. But this topic was just too good. I had to call in, man, and first time caller. I think I have a lot to give, at least input wise. And yeah, man, that's just my little spiel right there. So anyone out there, start with something you like, and then just see if there's a way that you could, make some money off it. Even if in the beginning you're pretty much you're not making money, or you're even doing it for free, and then slowly build over time. Because it's been about a year and a half, almost 2 years since I started, and I could honestly say, like, damn, I have a following now, right? And yeah, I want to bring this knowledge to my following and stuff, but I have to be patient too, and strategic in how I introduce, Gematria to them, because it's that kind of patience that's needed. But it's okay. It's all going to happen, man, and I'm just glad that I was able to call in today and share a little bit and finally get on a call with you. I got your book. I got my hoodie. I'm out here in LA, man, just waiting, just ready and plotting.
Well, I really appreciate your call. This stream needed your call. And yeah, in just 2 years' time, you've been able to accomplish that. And you listening to your story reminded me about my buddy back when we were in high school, back when the internet was a newer thing. He loved shoes. And I think a lot of people have done the same type of thing, but he'd go to these exclusive shoe events and buy this special shoe, and he knew he could put it online, and he'd pay like $150 for the shoe, but then he could sell it online for $1,000 because it was rare. And he was making good money, and he loved shoes, so it was fun to him. He set up a little website, and kind of just reminded me of your story right there. And he was a shoe enthusiast, and he turned it into a nice little side hustle as a young person. So awesome, man. And yeah, look at you. And I mean, so you're taking care of your body, and you're teaching other people how to, and you built up a clientele. You got the skateboard side hustle, so perfect. I mean, that's the total entrepreneur spirit. Great for you, man. Good work.
Thanks, man. I think, like you just mentioned, it's identifying that parallel. Like, if you see that form of success, you saw it with shoes or whatever, you can implement it somewhere else. And yeah, man. So I'm out here. Just hopefully you come out here in January. It'd be great to meet you in person, meet you, support, get the word out, spread the word. I got some ideas, man. I got a bunch of skateboards, and some of them have Kobe on them, some of them have Jordan, some certain people, and we can make some content off of that, and I can riff it off you. Hey, what's this Kobe mean? And you can just go into the whole gematria regarding that.
Well, I don't know if you should put it on your channel. It might mess up its growth if you used to share the information, but yeah, no, definitely. I do want to come down there, and I look forward to linking up. So very cool.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, take care.
Peace.
I do always worry about people's YouTube channel if they share the work, because it seems to be the thing that kills them in the algorithm. All right, and Truth Does Not Exist is going to launch his own YouTube video for how to become financially independent. He's on his path. But yeah, that was a great call right there. And yeah, I do want to come down to LA, and I still haven't decided for sure. Didn't hit the goal that we wanted for the month, which is disappointing. A lot of people who used to support the work are gone for good for whatever reason. And yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to reach new people. It does stink that I mean, there's still a lot of good supporters in this community, but it sucks that we've hit a plateau and lost traction this year, in a year where we did probably more good on the streets of America to achieve the kind of notoriety we need for this work and knowledge, which deserves to be out there. And sadly, it's going to take resources, but yeah, I still want to go to LA anyway, and I will make that decision, and I will make that announcement near the beginning of the year. And again, for people who got here late, we were trying to get the Patreon support back to where it was at the beginning of the year before we pounded pavement all over the country. And unfortunately, we're still nowhere near, but it's okay. 928, what's up, 928?
Yeah, I followed you, I think since 2013. YouTube recommended you. I've tried to give a lot of data. I'm an old man, Bo. I leave comments today on your channel, and they're all deleted. So I give up, you know. If you're not deleting them, somebody is. Irregardless, it works out the same way.
That's the Google algorithm. You leave a good comment, it probably gets deleted.
Yeah, I give up. You know, yeah, I could get ahead in life fighting malevolence, playing crossword puzzles. You know, crunching numbers. You know, come on. You know what malevolence has stopped in the 13 years or 9+ years you've been doing this? How is malevolence run away scared?
Is the point you're making that because we haven't made as much progress as we'd like, we should just give up? Is that what you're saying? You know what? Now that I think about it, I remember your voice. You were the same guy who said I wasn't going to make it to New York. You're the same caller.
No, I am not.
You are the same person.
From the city of Tempe, Arizona.
I think it was you who called in and said I wouldn't make it to New York. Voice sounds the same.
No, I didn't. I would never do that because I watch the internet. I study the whole.
So what's the point of your call? What's the point you're trying to make? You're upset at the Google algorithm and all its censorship, so we should just quit?
Well, you know, their weapon system makes everybody's AK-47, M16. You know, their shotgun with literally dragon's breath, they call it, because I can't think of the name of it, but all the weapons that people possess, they're chump change. The weapon systems they've developed are far beyond the imagination. I coined a phrase in 1986.
So you're overwhelmed by all this stuff, and so we should all just give up and quit.
Well, here's a phrase I quote, my phrase I invented in 1986. Humans are intelligent up to the threshold of their ignorance. What they think they know, and what they do not know, they haven't a clue. I've been to Egypt twice, studied with learned Egyptologists. You know, these creatures are they're non-human. Ball-back triathlon stones, 1,600 tons. We can't.
Okay, I get what you're saying. So we can't beat them. We're pretty much defeated. So what's your suggestion for everybody? What should we do?
Well, I've got my exit visa. If you catch my drift.
I don't. Go escape to an island?
The ultimate exit visa. Get the fuck out of this nightmare that humans can't oppose. I opposed the Vietnam War on ASU campus in 1969. I've been doing my due diligence since 1969. I hammer the internet. I'm on channel number or mail account number 61 and 62. I caused Alex Jones to make a video to me because I said I would send hilarious allegories, and they'd let that stand, and they deleted it, and then they wouldn't let me on. Then I finally typed one sentence: "Alex, you've got man-boy boobs." And then he made a video to me where he was in a resort, made sure this selfie in the video, but his head was photoshopped onto it. You know,
Okay, so again, I'm going to come back to the question. You got your exit visa. You've given up on life, so it sounds like you want to go out to an island and just enjoy your remaining days. But what about for everybody else who's not in that position?
No, there's one ultimate exit visa. It's called Exit Planet Earth. I'm sick of it. It's pointless. It's pointless to keep fighting, and nothing ever changes. These creatures are they're non-human. They are all the handlers, all the people. I've studied for 10 plus years of these creatures. Catching them frame by frame where their eyeballs convert to a vertical slit. These creatures are non-human. They got the upper hand on it. It's not human versus human.
But there's a lot more of us. If that's true, there's still a lot more of us, and they're working extra hard to control us. And if they had the whole world under total control, they wouldn't need to censor people and run nonstop propaganda every day to control humanity, right? So they can be defeated.
Well, they've been doing this for 12,000 plus years. They created the Great Flood. They destroyed the free energy system, pyramidal system on planet Earth on ley lines. It was heaven. It was the Garden of Eden. They've destroyed it. I don't know how to...
So are you saying... So is what you're saying is we should all commit suicide? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying what I choose to do is what I choose to do. What anybody else wants to do or keep hanging on there, because they feed on low vibrational energy. It's rather sort of like that crappy movie, The Matrix.
Or the movie Monsters, Inc. I don't disagree with any of this. This all could be true. This could all be true, but listen, man, I don't think if you just want to exit, if you want to go to the bathtub with the razor blades, I'm not going to judge you. It takes a lot of courage to commit suicide, but again, I don't think as you're going out, you need to just spread all your negative energy that we all lost and we should all give up, because again, I don't think we have lost. They have a lot of tactics in play each day because they see how they could lose their edge. So anyway, man, you don't need to call in and bring the Debbie Downer energy that we're all defeated, but if you want to exit the earth, I'm not going to judge you.
Reality, it's reality.
All right.
Razor blade is stupid sloppy. Razor blade is stupid sloppy.
Oh, pills. Okay, however you want to do it. All right. Good luck, buddy. Enjoy the exit. Yeah, again, I mean, it's just like, that guy's probably a troll anyway, but, I mean, listen to his whole call. It's just like, his whole call's, are you deleting my comment? Just, okay. And that does sound like the same guy. That does sound like the exact same voice of the guy who said I wouldn't make it to New York. So I'm pretty sure it's actually the same caller. But yeah, also I got to be honest, man. I mean, it's just like, if that's how you feel and just every day is just a big drain, I mean, rather than go around just spreading your negativity everywhere, I mean, just, get it over with. Get it over with. So. Yeah, he's like all the people that left the community. He brought the whole loser vibe, so. Anyway, guys, the caller before that was the perfect caller. We should have just ended the stream there. But again, I mean, that last caller before him, the guy who's into nutrition, who's into fitness, who's made it his life, who now has clients. Again, personal training. That's expensive. You get a personal trainer, you're looking at a bill between $50 to several $100s an hour based on how good you are and your clientele. And what a great lifestyle. You're taking care of yourself. You're teaching other people how to take care of yourself. If you love exercising and working out, which again is another thing that requires hard work. That's why so many people don't take care of their body. But once it becomes a habit, it's just like, it's so funny about working out, right? When you're in the routine, it's like you got to do it. You don't feel like you're right if you're not in the gym working out. I was that way for a long time. Every day working out. Until I busted my shoulder, I was that way for a very long time. I think I got my first gym membership at like age 14. And I was that way until I was 30 years old. And now we get the call from no caller ID. It's obvious that the memo got out. Here, let's see, just in case. You never know, it might be Generation Y, but if this is it, we might something calls. No caller ID? No caller ID, you got to mute the video. What?
Fucking great, bro. You feel good.
What?
I would get the call from no caller ID. You feel fucking good, man. You're working out. You feel fucking great.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we're starting to get in the trolls. Trolls just, it's amazing, man. It's just like, can you imagine that being your life? Don't do that to get ahead in the world. Don't become a troll that works in the troll factory. Talk about a low vibration job. Okay, they're gonna start calling over and over again. But yeah, again, find something you're passionate about, and you can turn that into your career. Just like I was saying, my buddy in high school, it's true. He'd go find these like shoe conventions, these exclusive shoe releases. I was just amazed when he was doing it. I was like, man, people will pay that much for shoes? But there are people that aren't going to go stand out in line, people that can't be at that event where that exclusive shoe is. To them, it is worth $1,000. That was back at the end of that was like the end of the 90s, early 2000s. So, I mean, it's probably people paying, God knows what they're paying for shoes now. But you can turn like so many things into a career if you're creative and dedicated to it. Hold on, let's get one more good call before we get out of here. Tennessee?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
Yeah, what's going on?
Just to, I guess, kind of, answer the question of escaping the 9 to 5, you kind of got to ask maybe the question of, for each person, like, to what extent really do you want to escape kind of the matrix? You know what I mean? Do you want to be completely off the grid, off the system, where you want to get totally away from money, or do you want to, become like financially free within the matrix, kind of thing? So I guess maybe, that kind of would start there for some people on a personal level of just where they want to actually get with it. You know what I mean?
Sure, you got to figure out what the right path is for you, and ultimately, I would like to get to a place where my sweet lady's not quite there yet, but the world continues to move in the direction it is, where people have less and less control over their own bodies, and more they're subjected to what the state demands. She'll arrive in the same position where I'd like to be. So, but yeah, I think it's kind of a process too. I think you kind of got to first escape the 9 to 5. And then get yourself to a position where you can find a piece of land and make it home.
That's a great point. Basically, everyone, you kind of have to use the matrix to an extent to get to where you want to be, which is totally off because, in this community, we definitely see what's down the pipeline, and where, like you said, everything's going to be tracked, no mattress money, it's just. So, yeah, we've all got to get to, a point where we're not reliant on that system because, we know it's going to get bad.
Indeed. Yeah?
But, yeah, I just wanted to add that. And for sure, within the matrix, too, I'm just going to add, if you work hard and just grind some stuff out for a couple of years, good things happen to just people who just show up, man, and do it, over time, something good will happen, an opportunity will show up,
Exactly.
So grind and whatever it is.
Exactly. If you work hard, you will catch somebody's eye who can probably help your position too, because we're in this day and age where our work ethic is like a thing of the past. There's so few people that have a good work ethic. If you work hard and you're talented, somebody will recognize you and probably help you along the way getting to where you want to be. So, good point.
Right, and here's just a small personal quick story. So I work at a small little IT company, and so the guy who started this company, he was just like the IT guy at for a CPA firm, that had 50 or so employees. But so, he worked there for a while and then tells the owner I think I want to go out and do my own thing, so I'm going to leave. And the owner of the CPA firm says, well, here, if you want to go do your own thing, I'll be your first client, I'll be your first customer, and then you can still go out and get your own customer. So they kind of formed a partnership, and so now we're, we do this CPA firm, but then we have 25 other clients, and we're just growing and booming, and so who would have thought this one guy, who created my company we have 7 employees now, but, we're looking at adding a couple more that just by him, making the decision 4 or 5 years ago, now, he's giving other people jobs. It's just really cool, like I said, how if you just do something for a while, work at it, get really good, especially making yourself valuable, like good things will happen and opportunities will come. That's all I just wanted to end with.
Yeah, really great point to end the stream. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, man. You have a good one, Zach.
Yeah, you too. Take care. All right, you know what? I'm gonna close the phone because the troll's also calling a lot, and I get annoyed when they start doing this. But about having a good work ethic and catching somebody's eye. Here's another thing that happened to me early on. So I've told this story before. When I got out of college, again, my buddy, he put the idea in my head about real estate, and I knew real estate appraisals was another good way to make, a good salary and quick cash. And actually, the first job I got, I was supposed to be, it was a paid position as an apprentice working under a real estate appraiser. And he noticed on the first day how fast I could type and that I wrote well and how fast I could put the report together, and he was blown away. He's like, wow, I can't believe how efficient you are. He's like, I feel like you're more productive than my whole office. There was other employees there, right? And he said, I might have a different plan for you. And what ended up happening is rather than being the apprentice, he thought I had all the tools and faculties to do essentially what he did. I just didn't have the appraiser license. So I was supposed to move up to Seattle and work in Seattle at the office. And instead he said he was expanding his operation to Portland, which is where I was at the time. And I'd been doing the thing was I did the training up where his office was in Fife, which is down just south of Seattle. And this is where he saw how fast I could do this stuff. And he was blown away. And he said, I think I want you down at the Portland office. Because he goes, you seem to have the manpower of several people. And I was like, wow. And he's like, instead of working under me, I'm going to have you work under my son. His son was also a licensed appraiser. And this is a real story, you guys. So I trained with his son one day in Portland. And at the end of the day, his son goes, I think you can do this without me. And I said, I was supposed to be like training under them for a couple years. And this is my first full day on the job. He's like, you know how to do everything. I was like, what are you talking about? So his dad ends up calling me and he's like, we're going to have you work in Portland. We're going to have you run our Portland office. You'll be the guy that goes out, does the appraisals. You'll send the reports to me. I'll make sure everything's okay, and we'll sign off on them. Now, I was just so brand new to this, I didn't realize how illegal it all was. But what I found out from working in the field of real estate is it's just full of fraud and people doing things not by the way they're supposed to do it, and it's just all kind. But anyway, it's also not that difficult of a job. Again, it's about doing the research for the market, finding comparable homes, doing a fair assessment, draw up comparison. So he started paying me, like I agreed to do this job at a lot lesser of a salary. In no time, my salary went from a lot smaller and modest as an apprentice to a six-figure salary. And it wasn't right. I mean, it truly wasn't ethical and it wasn't right. But at the same time, real estate appraisals aren't that hard. And the thing was, he did recognize, he didn't do this for his other people. He had an office full of people up in the Seattle area. And the thing was, I really could crank out the reports as fast as four other people could. I could do as much work as four other people in a day. And, I've always had a good work ethic and been skilled and, efficient in a lot of things, but it's just like, look at how many people over the years have accused me of having a team of people working behind me saying it's impossible for me to do the amount of work I do in a day, and I just laugh at it because it's just the same thing. It's like he recognized that I could do the work of four people, which was real, and I could crank out reports for him left and right, and I could do 3 full appraisals in a day, and he had a team of 4 people up in his Seattle office that could do 3 appraisals in a day between the 4 of them. So he ended up paying me better, and I was just like, well, I did get into this to make some good money. But that was also the reason I left, because there was a lot of shady stuff there, and I justified it because I realized that the whole real estate appraisal field was full of, shady appraisals. And what was going on at that time in the market was everyone needed to refinance their home because everyone was on an adjustable rate mortgage, which would be fine for 3 to 6 months, but then it would skyrocket, and then people couldn't afford their payment anymore, so then they'd have to have an appraiser come out and assess the value of their home at a higher value so that they could refinance, and then they could afford their mortgage again. And this is what contributed to the housing collapse, because everybody kept adjusting their mortgage until it just couldn't be done anymore. The market had been so exploited, there was no more room to say, okay, now your home's worth this much. It hit the ceiling on fraud, essentially, and that's when the whole market fell apart. And I knew the wheels were coming off the bus. I got out of the real estate market doing that in 2017, a year before, or not 2017, 2007, a year before it all fell apart in 2008. And again, like I said, I've told this story many times before, I felt like I needed to save my soul, even though what I did wasn't so bad. It was really my boss who was the criminal, but you could say I was his accomplice. But that's where I was just like, okay, I knew I wanted to also do something good in the world, so that's when I went back to school. I worked at the group home. I worked at the teen homeless shelter. I paid for my master's so that I could teach. But yeah, again, ultimately the real reason I told you guys that story was because I had skills and I had a hard work ethic. My boss recognized it, and automatically he put me in a whole different financial position. And ultimately the reason he did it is because I made him a lot of money. You have to realize I was cranking out 3 appraisals a day on average, some days more. He's getting paid between $500 and $1,000 appraisal, so I'm making him upwards of $2,000 to $3,000 a day, and that's why he could afford to pay me a really good wage. So, yeah, if you work hard and hopefully you get. That's the other thing too. I mean, the workplace is full of shadiness, right? And that's part of the thing about working for other people. You might end up doing a job that doesn't make you feel good at the end of the day. But it's your job, and you're getting paid, and that's why a lot of people are stuck in the trap too. It's like, well, I'm just doing my job. I can't feed my family if I don't do my job. I'd like to share. Man, I'm a news reporter, and I'd like to cover this guy's interesting information on Gematria, but my editor told me if I do that, I'm going to lose my job. So, I mean, that's the other reason you don't want to work under people. You might find that every day you're having to compromise yourself and do things that make you feel unethical or wrong, and if that's you too, I'd encourage you to quit your job like I eventually did and go out and do something that brings something positive into the world. So, but yeah, work hard, improve yourself, develop your skills, and somebody will recognize you, and hopefully you'll be rewarded. Other people will also try to totally exploit you. That was the one thing I could say about that guy. He was not, he was good to his employees. Not only did he pay me well, he gave me really nice bonuses. He'd always get me a nice gift card for some restaurant. I mean, he treated me really well. And the day that I quit, he drove all the way down from Seattle that day to beg me not to quit. And I told him I just couldn't do it anymore. And it was because just some of that, he didn't know how to say no. I was like, you need to say no to some of these homes, trying to force the value. You guys, there were homes that were about to blow over in the wind that needed to be appraised at $150,000, and they were a shack that was worth $20,000, and he'd be telling the mortgage lender on the phone that, yeah, I'll figure out how to make that home worth $150,000, and then he'd expect me to go out there and make a $20,000 shack worth $150,000, and I didn't like doing that because that's when you just had to do the ultimate, most shadiest work, and just it was unbelievable that those reports would even make it through underwriting, but somehow they were, because the whole industry was so fraudulent. And but yeah, again, outside of the fraudulent aspect of that, the reason I was in my position that I was in is from working hard. So work hard, especially if you're a younger person, develop your skill set, and it will pay dividends eventually. And if you ever find somebody that's trying to exploit you, do not stay under that person. That was the mistake that I learned from watching my dad. My dad's a hard worker with skills, and he let his boss take advantage of him his whole life. So don't let that happen to you either. But hard work does pay off. And yeah, Fermenti, who runs his own business, shout out to Fermenti in the chat. Check out Fermenti Foods. He said, take care of your employees. Indeed. Take care of your people. Don't be an exploiter. All right, Truth Seeker, we'll leave it there. And until next time.